Hi, everybody, and welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 40. I am your host, and with me, as always, my teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hey.
Well, take two, because the first hour we just recorded got erased, so we're back to talk about the same stuff again, and I'm pretty much furious, but I'm glad you're with us.
We forgot to plug the computer in
And my wife's old MacBook from 2013 just shuts off with no warning.
Right,
so...
the computers we use for notes and whatnot, they at least kind of like the screen goes kind of dark when it's getting low, which is nice.
Nice, obviously, yeah.
Right. So
we lost everything. We're back to do it over from the start, so I apologize if me mostly sound angry, because I am, or if I talk really quickly, because we're going to be talking about stuff we just talked about. But thanks for bearing with us. We do have to talk about, again, because it was funny, we walked to get our booster juice as we usually do, and what did we see over there? Go ahead, tell them again.
There's like the intersection behind booster juice, and there's this guy in a thong walking around with a sign that says F idiot Ford, and then also Trader Trudeau on the other side. He's just shouting freedom and walking around protesting, I guess.
Yes, so Doug Ford is the premier of Ontario, which would I think be the governor of a state, and Trudeau is our prime minister, like our president basically. So I assume he's protesting something about COVID restrictions or vaccine rollouts or something. But yeah, not what we expected to see when we went to get our booster juice. A man in a thong just walking through traffic yelling freedom as people honk at him, and he's waving a sign. But anyways,
it was fun.
What else we talked about? I asked how your week at school was. You said meh, whatever.
Yeah.
And then
new game.
Oh yeah, you're playing a new game.
Pirate game, Sea of Thieves.
Nice.
Fun.
And then what did I say? I said something about our contact information: fnswrestling@gmail.com, FNS_podcast_wrestling. That's our Instagram account.
_wrestling_podcast. He said podcast and then wrestling.
Who knows? Who cares at this point? If you want to find us, find us. YouTube comments or work as well. I reply to them almost immediately as soon as I can. You'll definitely hear back from me if you contact us in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. But I figure, I don't know, that's good enough for banter, take two, right? So let's get into talking about some wrestling. And our first segment, as always, will be news and rumors.
I would say that's like half-assed, but it's not, because it's
pretty similar to what we did.
Twice-assed, I guess, because we did it twice. I don't know.
Instead of half-assed, it's double-assed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing we'll do is talk about ratings, as we always do. So Wednesday's new edition of AEW Dynamite, featuring TNT champion Darby Allin facing Jungle Boy as the main event, drew 1.104 million viewers, which is down 9.4%, with a 0.37 in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is down 15.9%. In comparison, NXT's Tuesday show drew 841,000 viewers, which was up 4.5%, and a 0.23 rating in the 18 to 49.
Right, and so what we were saying is it kind of seems like the NXT people, right, who if it was Wednesday Wars, they would have watched NXT.
Right.
They're also now watching AEW because they don't have to choose. They can watch both.
Yes.
And then the AEW people who were watching AEW are probably just kind of burned out from WWE in general.
Yeah, or so just loyal to AEW.
Right, and so they're not watching NXT.
Seems like there's more NXT viewers crossing over to watch AEW, but not going back
the other way. Right, yeah.
So AEW stayed over 1 million viewers, which I think they would probably be happy with. And NXT's numbers were really good too. It's actually the best ratings and key demo ratings they've had in 2021. So all in all, a good week for both shows. And we've thought it's been pretty interesting to watch for the last few weeks as well. So we kind of agree with the sort of increase in ratings or good weeks they're having.
Yeah.
Speaking of ratings, I'll just steal this first one here because it relates. The Tay Conti Shida match grew total viewers and the 18 to 49 demographic more than anything else did on Dynamite this week. Not to spoil anything, but we thought it was a really strong match. So that's a really good sign. This division's hopefully gaining some steam, getting some attention. It was grew the viewers the most that week, so that was cool for them. Mm-hmm. What do you have?
Bianca Belair's first defense of the SmackDown Women's Championship is set, as she'll be defending against Bayley at WrestleMania Backlash.
Say it.
Yeah.
So dumb. WrestleMania Backlash. Yeah, so should be a good match. As I already said the first time we did this, I'm hoping this is the Belair getting a win to legitimize her title run, right? I assume that is the plan here. I don't think it looks like they seem to be happy with her as champion. She's gotten a ton of attention in the wrestling world and a little bit beyond, so I can't imagine the title's coming off her. So just hopefully they still have something for Bayley, right? And that she's not going to get lost in the shuffle here.
Although I think she already did after WrestleMania.
A little bit, yeah. She clearly had not much of a role there. So should be a good match, right? And I'm guessing it's to legitimize Belair as champion.
Right.
I had that recently, it's been all over everywhere, recently released WWE star Mickie James was sent her belongings from the company since she's been released in a garbage bag. And she posted a little video on Instagram of basically it's a box with a garbage bag in it full of all of her stuff that she needed back from WWE, I guess. Lots of people have commented on it, including Stephanie and Triple H. Basically,
we're so sorry we fired the person responsible.
Posted an apology saying that the offending party has been released from the company. That sort of prompted some other former stars, including Gail Kim, Darren Young, Maria Kanellis, and Jillian Hall, to speak up about their experiences. The basic idea they're saying is that this treatment is more of a systemic issue within WWE and is not simply the actions of one man who they've now fired. And that basically WWE's trying to save some face and look good here by firing the employee quote unquote responsible, whereas some of the people are saying like this kind of thing's been going on since before this person got here, that this is larger than just one guy being a jerk. It's sort of a company WWE thing, right? So they feel like this is more of a PR move to publicly apologize and fire one person than actually trying to address the systemic issues within the company.
Tom Lawler wins the New Japan Cup USA, becomes the first New Japan Pro Wrestling strong openweight champion.
Yeah.
Defeating Brody King in the finals.
I'm gonna have to check him out. Again, I keep saying like I've heard lots about him, but I don't know if I've seen him wrestle at all.
Assuming he'll be on New Japan Strong then.
Yeah.
And also, I believe he's competes in MLW.
And I like Brody King, so that might have been a good match, quite possibly. Anything else?
T-Bar and Mace versus Drew McIntyre and
bless you.
Braun Strowman is set for Raw. Drew McIntyre and Strowman faced the Retribution people last week.
Maskless now.
Right. They got unmasked and then they got beat with their masks, giving them a DQ win, as if there's a more pathetic way to get a win.
I'm happy their masks are off at least, but I
don't think that means them ditching the gimmick completely.
I like Dijakovic, so we'll see what happens.
I don't like Dio Madden.
I don't know. Maybe he's gotten a lot better, but I haven't really seen him too much. Anything else?
Aleister Black returned on SmackDown with a new vignette.
Yeah.
He read Chapter 1 titled The Dragon from Tales of the Dark Father.
And you said you checked it out a couple times?
Yeah. And I will read the final bit again.
Go ahead.
Is this the final bit of the segment? You gawking at the screen right now. You are the monsters, and I am nothing like you, and I would never help you. You are the ones who reveal the true rotten nature of man with your lies and your deceit. You transform your own children into bigger monsters than you are. What you do is vile, and it should be condemned. Like rotten crops, you should be scorched from the earth to make room for more fertile things.
Yeah, so the opposite of pandering to the crowd. He hates us, and we're the problem, it sounds like.
He's kind of like, he's going with like the dark thing, and he also at the end, he kind of like vanishes in smoke.
Oh no, we're going like magic?
I don't know.
I hope not.
It's kind of like, so, it's like spooky tale or whatever, but then it's also like anti-mankind.
Like an anarchist maybe sort of thing, like just...
I honestly, like, I don't know.
That's the point, is to just get your interest, but not...
something.
Yeah. So he's been doing nothing.
Him 1v1ing people while sitting in a room waiting for them.
Yeah, he's been doing nothing for months, and before that, he may as well have been doing nothing. So
for this, he got a crappy theme and was wearing an eye patch.
Let's hope that this is something better for him.
Right.
Anything else?
Peyton Royce files a trademark for the name Cassie Lee,
right.
Which will presumably be her name wrestling going forward.
Hopefully, I want her and Kay together.
Yeah,
I want them to stay together.
Hopefully they sign AEW because they need to continue building their women's division. I think they're making strides in the right direction now, but I think we need to keep building that roster, make it as strong as the men's division.
And those two together, sure, they're not amazing in ring, but character work and just entertainment.
Right, which is, I think will also benefit them in AEW because the more creative control and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah, they're very entertaining. I like Billie Kay.
Right, just more creative freedom in general, I think.
Specifically, yeah.
To keep with WrestleMania Backlash, NWA falls with their own crappy pay-per-view name as they announce When Our Shadows Fall for June 6th.
It's an interesting... doesn't bother me as much as it does you.
It's
not great.
I just think it sounds really weird.
Yeah. It's not ideal, maybe, but I
Right.
don't know. I probably won't watch it anyway, so you never know, though.
Terry Funk recovering from COVID-19. Hopefully he gets better.
Yeah, because you don't want to be that age catching COVID, I don't think.
Right.
So hopefully he's okay.
And apparently, I think Kurt Angle told the story that Ric Flair apparently warned him against signing with WCW.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Probably because he would have been, because he debuted for WWE at the end of 1999.
Right, so that would have been the time when there's no chance that the guys who have the book, like who I think was that Nash and all them at that point,
right? And maybe
they're not going to
Russo
allow
around that time, right?
Angle to succeed at that point.
Right.
They were busy keeping themselves in the spotlight and not really worrying about anyone else. It probably would have been a bad time for him to go over.
Right, and he had like the best rookie year of all time, probably.
Right. He's amazing.
He's
amazing.
a Euro Continental Champion and
That's
WWE
right.
Champion in the same year.
He was
I think.
Fantastic. One of the best ever, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope, we're good.
You want to talk about some NXT again?
Yeah.
So let's get into
we
our...
almost got through the whole show.
We did. Our first in-depth review each week, which will be us taking a look at this week's NXT. All right, so the show kicks off with Kyle O'Reilly's theme playing as he makes his way to the ring in his street clothes now, wearing his jean vest and some interesting sunglasses.
Almost like Orange Cassidy-esque.
He has a mic and he speaks a little bit, I guess. At Stand and Deliver, he says he faced the toughest test of his life. He's in a great mood because his issues with Cole are behind him. His work and ability in the ring speak for themselves. It's time to move on from Cole, but what's next? Kyle says he's found his killer instinct and he has to be willing to go to extremes. What does he do next to prove that he is the guy here? Should he go after the workhorse title in the North American title?
I think would be good.
Or challenge Cross for the NXT Championship?
Which I think would mean he loses and I would get angry.
We then get an interruption as Cameron Grimes' theme hits.
Sporting a nice green blazer, which you got me to note. Which,
yeah,
I mean, it was kind of interesting.
It was. It's walks...
one of those colors where, like, I don't know why you would want that.
Well, and I didn't know what color it was, so I had to ask
and it's like a rich person kind of thing. I think I saw this video like that this guy made about rich people. It's like you gotta have like the most crazy and extravagant stuff that like rich people just have bad taste because they gotta have like the craziest like most character. Weird things, you know what I mean? So like I feel like that does kind of keep up with that.
And he's like the redneck millionaire right now. So.
Right.
Yeah, so he walks down to the ring and talks.
It'd be funny if like a redneck got a sunburn on their neck.
And literally was red?
Yeah, redneck.
He congratulates Kyle and says that he sees him as the top dog. And he wants to brand Cool Kyle and get some merch going, right? So this is his next business opportunity. He wanted the intellectual property of the Undisputed Era. And now he wants to sort of
Grimes the system.
He wants to cash in on Kyle's newfound popularity. They talks about they could have an NFT and together they could go to the moon. Kyle, for a little bit, seems to be agreeable to this and is excited to announce that he's cleared to wrestle and that his first opponent is around here somewhere. Gee, I wonder where this could be leading.
He's like, oh, it's you. And he's like, no, we're business partners. And he puts on his sunglasses because those help you see.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it is you.
And it's Grimes, and he punches Grimes. What did you think? Sorry, I'll let you go first.
I thought it was a decent opening bit. O'Reilly's definitely improving on the mic, which is good if they're going to use him as a star in the future. And Grimes is always pretty entertaining. So, decent way to start, but I would have liked something better if they're going to open with a segment.
Right.
So I'm not completely against it.
I thought Kyle was good. The outcome was really predictable, right? As soon as you see Grimes walk out and hear his theme, you know exactly what's going to happen. And I always say that I prefer matches to start shows, which I do.
Me too.
But I thought this was entertaining enough. I'm not mad about it. Kyle, I think he's just perfecting his babyface promo style, right? Hopefully because he's getting like a title run or in the title picture again. So I think it's just him just getting more exposure and getting his babyface character and promos down. So it was okay. I prefer matches, obviously, but this wasn't bad. We then see Regal. He meets with Saray in the parking lot a little bit earlier today. Zoe Stark appears and respectfully requests a match with Saray. Regal asks Saray. She agrees, and Saray and Stark shake hands. Thoughts? It was really quick.
It was pretty quick, but I thought it's a smart way to start Saray here because Zoe Stark is pretty good.
Yep.
And I noticed they got new graphics and whatnot.
Yeah.
For NXT, like I thought the match graphics look pretty cool, and the transitions like that they always have between stuff look pretty cool. So they got kind of a new design. They always change it up a bit every now and then. Oh, see, look, my computer screen went a little dark, so now I know to plug it in.
It's warning us instead of just shutting off and not saving anything.
But,
what a cool computer.
I think this is smart by them. Stark will probably take the loss again, but I think that's fine as long as she gets a good showing.
Yeah, I thought this was a smart way to get Stark just a short, quick speaking role so she can work on that, because it is kind of a developmental thing for her still, I think. I thought she was good. I think the matchup will probably be good. Because Stark doesn't people seem to be bothered by her losing a lot of matches, but I think, I mean, she's on the show every week. She's looking
good.
She's looking good in these matches. She's not winning, but it's not bothering me as much as it seems to bother
I
others.
think it's not a terrible strategy, and if you do it right, and so far they've done like pretty good with it. Like,
yeah. I think so.
And it's interesting. They don't usually do that. It's always like 50-50 booking, or you gotta book them strong.
Gotta win right out of the gate,
right?
Yeah. Nope. I don't have a problem with her looking really competitive against stars, but not winning all the time. And then she did beat Toni Storm, so it's not like she's winless, right? And they tell us Toni Storm's amazing, so even though we don't tend to agree.
No, she's not.
We then get LA Knight. He's walking down the hallway in the back, cutting a promo. Basically that people ganged up on him in the gauntlet to take him out, and he's going to get even with Loomis first. He says a whole bunch of more words and talks really fast, but that was the gist of it. What did you think?
I thought it was all right.
Yeah, we talked about this in the take one. I feel like it's really him stealing The Rock, borrowing, whatever, homage, whatever you want to say. It's The Rock and Steve Austin smashed together.
It's similar to how I feel about Dexter Loomis's matches. It seems to be pretty formulaic now.
Yeah, so he is super confident and gives a strong promo, but they're starting to sort of feel the same.
I think it's probably confident because he's done that same thing many, many times.
It's him channeling The Rock with a bit of Stone Cold thrown in, I feel like. Maybe that's what it's feeling main roster to me, which, as we know, sort of bugs me a little bit. So I feel like he's a main roster guy. He just needs to get there quickly and leave me alone, sort of thing. We then move into...
Same goes for Karrion Kross.
Yeah, I would agree. We then get the LA Knight versus Dexter Loomis match. Starts with a recap as Loomis enters of him taking Indy Hartwell away from the ring last week during the main event, and with Indy sort of pretending to be injured, winking at us or whatever over his shoulder as he was carrying her out. And I like the contrast here because you're getting the over-the-top showman versus the sort of silent, stoic guy. So that kind of dynamic is interesting. The match starts...
Except until you remember
who it
that
is.
They're both incredibly boring in the ring.
I don't mind Loomis sometimes. Anyways.
I don't mind Knight sometimes.
Strikes by Loomis before a shoulder tackle by Knight for a 2 count. Big boot by Knight, and he leans over to yell at Loomis a little bit and taunt him. Loomis grabs him, tries to lock in the silence, but Knight rolls to the outside. Loomis is snapped across the top rope and gets a slingshot shoulder tackle by Knight for a 2 count. Big backdrop by Loomis, and he slithers around the ring as he does, and as Knight is sort of backing away, he crotches himself on the ring post. Sudden neckbreaker by Knight to turn the tide, and he throws Loomis outside, heading into the commercial. We come back, we get a spine buster by Loomis, a flurry ending in a bulldog, back suplex, leg drop to Knight, then a slingshot suplex.
Leg drop? What?
Slingshot suplex by Loomis for 2.
No, that must be first time.
This is that section of the match where he strings a whole bunch of moves together. I still like it. You don't, because it's the same stuff every time. But I think most wrestlers are guilty of the same stuff all the time to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Knight pulls Loomis into the barricade to stop his momentum. Loomis is then, of course, distracted by Indy at ringside. They look like they're about to lean in and kiss, but LA Knight attacks from behind and questions Indy about her choice of men as Loomis jumps off the top and hits him as he's talking to Indy. Loomis is still staring at Hartwell, and Knight hits a cravat driver, but not very well. There wasn't a lot of contact made.
Hey, you remembered the name.
But unfortunately, it's enough as Loomis sort of takes the pinfall from Knight after this kind of weak-looking cravat driver. Hartwell and Loomis are about to kiss again after the match, but the way pull Indy off the apron and carry her away. What did you think about this?
LA Knight is not the strongest in ring. He's got a few decent moves, but he's pretty like slow and like kind of old school. He makes moves look fine, but I don't think Dexter Loomis is the person to bring him a good match.
Right.
I said it before, I'll say it again. Loomis' in-ring style is boring and formulaic. He paces around the ring, slowly hitting basic moves, slithering around and whatnot before his opponent takes control. Then he'll fight back, hit slightly faster offense, string a few moves together, and hit the jumping leg drop. That's supposed to be impressive, and it's like, oh my god, wow, and he does it every match, and
he does.
He always does the back suplex, kip up, leg drop. I could literally predict that he will do that every match. Like, that's how every time it is. And his other comeback moves are the same pretty much, and it's not really at all interesting. Like, it's not even that it's like really bad. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And he does it every time, so it's just like boring. It's like, oh yeah, there he goes.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
I thought the match was pretty good, maybe even a little better than I was expecting, but at the end of the day, it's another lame distraction finish, right? To make sure nobody looks weak. That gets annoying to me. Just have people win and people lose. It happens in sports all the time. At least they furthered the storyline with Loomis and Indy, I guess, if you're into that. And there's something about Indy in this role that I am liking, even though I don't love the way. I feel like I'm learning that she's a pretty good performer and she can really, I said it when we were recording the first time, but like she has that ability to project to the back of the room. Like her mannerisms and stuff are exaggerated to the point where she communicates it to a large crowd, which I think is probably a skill not everybody has. So there's something about her I'm starting to like. I will say that. We then get Leon Ruff talking about Swerve Scott. He says he enjoyed standing over Swerve after smashing him into the lockers last week, and that Swerve has pushed him too far. What did you think? It was a very brief promo.
I didn't really like it too much. He sounds like a child who's angry at someone.
Yeah, you didn't find it super believable.
He's trying to be passionate, just not working for me. He says Swerve pushed him too far, and if that's true, he must be really sensitive, I think. If a few attacks and a match loss pushes you too far...
When you're a wrestler.
Right.
Yeah.
You might have a short fuse.
Yep. I don't know. He was fired up here. It was fine, but this seems to be a prolonged feud that isn't really helping anybody, right? I think Swerve needs to just beat this guy soundly and move on, because I think I see more in Swerve Scott than I do in Leon Ruff.
I see very much in Swerve Scott.
Me too. So I think that I don't know what he's getting from this prolonged feud with Leon Ruff, but it's time for it to end, in my opinion. We then get Beth Phoenix sits down with Io Shirai. She talks about Io's title reign starting at In Your House. And Io says she remembers winning the title and that meant she was the best wrestler in the world. They then show Io getting powerbombed by Gonzalez and ask Io how it felt, which I thought was a bit ridiculous. Io says it hurt and took her energy. She'll get her rematch but needs to rest. After defending the title for over 300 days, her body just needs some rest. Frankie Monet then interrupts and introduces herself to Io. She congratulates Io on the title reign before complimenting Beth, sort of, by saying she's been watching her since she was a kid, which I always love that sort of backhanded compliment. I liked watching you, but you're old, is basically what she's saying, right? Since Io wants time off, Frankie says she'll take Io's spot at the top of the division since she has nicer shoes anyways. Io then stands up, speaks in Japanese before finishing by saying, "I like cats." And what did you think?
I thought Beth's questions were pretty basic and not great.
Sure.
I still hate her. And Io speaking English is awkward and not good. It works when it's a few words like Asuka does, like, "You're not ready for Asuka," or
right.
like something like that. But these full sentences are awkward and feels unnatural. Ty Valkyrie came in. Yeah, her current name sucks, so I refuse.
She's still Taya to you.
And Beth Phoenix frighteningly says, "There's a dog, there's a dog." It's like, what's her deal with the dog? Even like
a 3-pound dog. It's not
right,
like it's a Doberman or something.
It's not even like it's like a Rottweiler or something, or like a German Shepherd,
smaller
like
than a cat.
Catity or whatever. Like, right, it's like cat size, and it's like, even in the vignettes, she's like, "What's up with the dog?" It's like, is she afraid of dogs? Is she afraid of that dog? Does she have history with the dog? Are they building a storyline with Beth Phoenix and the dog?
Maybe.
Anyways, and then Io gets a chance to speak Japanese, and it reinforces my point instantly. It just works better. It sounds more intimidating. She sounds more comfortable. Works better. She said she likes cats, and that was funny. And again, a little bit like that. It works because it's simple, and she can say it like quick like that.
Yep.
End stretch of this is better, but overall I did not like this. Beth sucks. Io's not good in English, and I hope that dog bites Beth.
I thought Io did an okay job here, but again, it's a pretty awkward spot for her to be in, speaking a second language on television in front of 800 and whatever thousand people. I don't think the interview portion before the interruption needed to be that long. You have Beth Phoenix asking her non-question questions, really. I think that basically Io could have started speaking and Frankie could have come in right away. Maybe they're just getting Io some practice. And I said before, like, I always think about, like, when I lived in Korea with your mom briefly in, like, 2000 or whatever that was, that if I were asked to go on TV and do an interview and I was only going to speak Korean, I would be terrified. It would be super hard for me. So I respect Io for giving it a try here. I'm sure her English is improving. But yeah, I didn't love that part. Not because of what she was saying, but just the questions were dumb. There were better things that she could have been saying, I think.
You took a powerbomb. How do
Why
you
are
feel?
you making her watch herself being powerbombed and then ask her how it feels? Like,
Did it hurt?
I thought Frankie Monet was better here than last week. She seemed more like a star, which is good because I really like her. And she had a couple funny lines. So I liked her presentation here. I just don't think the first part with the meaningless questions to Io was necessary.
In the English Io.
Right. We then get Breezango versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. And as you know, we're always told that Breezango aren't goofing around anymore.
They were Queen's Guards, who are the most serious thing in the world.
That's right. So super serious. Breezango came out in full costumes dressed as the Queen's Guards.
To be fair, they were very serious costumes, and they were not smiling at all.
And it's a serious job, so I guess maybe.
Right.
Zach Gibson cuts his usual old school heel promo on his way to the ring.
You know what was weird is they were also still wearing their black and pink attire. They at least commit to the gimmick, dude.
Right. They're serious wrestlers, though. We're told this constantly. Breezango start. They knock Grizzled Young Veterans to the floor before the match even begins. Breeze and Gibson start out, and Breeze takes control before tagging in Fandango. We get a quick interference from Drake from the apron to put Gibson in control of Fandango. Drake is in and takes a double boot while hanging over the top rope. We get a tope con hilo by Fandango as Breeze pulls down the ropes for him. Drake comes off the top here and sells a tweaked knee to the point where the ref comes over and checks on him. You kind of liked it. I didn't because that never actually happens.
I thought it would look kind of real for a second.
Yeah, because
I
guess because it never happens.
They stopped the whole match and whatnot, right, for a second?
Yep. So while the ref is checking on Drake, Gibson thumbs Fandango in the eye. And then suddenly Drake miraculously recovers, right? So classic heel tactic here. Missile dropkick flatliner combo by the Grizzled...
Wade Barrett must support them no matter what.
No matter what. Missile dropkick flatliner combo by the Grizzled Young Veterans for a 2 count. Fandango finally makes a tag to Breeze, and he's on fire with kicks to the Grizzled Young Veterans. Breeze follows them outside and dominates them briefly before rolling Drake back in the ring, hitting a Russian leg sweep. We get the ticket to mayhem as Fandango is nowhere to be seen. Breeze takes the pin. And the Grizzled Young Veterans get the win. What did you think?
Thought it was a decent match, and it was decent, and it gets a credible win for the Grizzled Young Veterans, I guess, right? Yep. And I don't know, it wasn't bad, but I didn't really love it either.
Yeah, I thought it was entertaining, but the outcome was never in doubt, right? So that always takes me out of it unless the match is amazing. The Grizzled Young Veterans really work the old school heel style, similar to FTR, I find at times. And even their finisher, right, is a little reminiscent of.
Right, because it's kind of a tombstone position into the other half of Smash Contraption.
So I thought the match was okay, but again, never in doubt. So it wasn't amazing, but it was fine. So the Way are now backstage, and Bronson Reed comes up to them and says that, asks them if they don't love, right? Because I guess of their treatment of Indy Hartwell and her love affair with Dexter Lumis. He goes on to say he has his eyes on the North American title. Then Theory cuts in, says that he's already spoken to Regal, and that the only way Reed is going to get a title shot is by beating Austin Theory. Reed is fine with that, and he leaves. Johnny is not fine with that. He's not happy with Theory, since Bronson Reed just pinned Theory last week, and Johnny does not want to face Bronson Reed. What did you think?
I thought it was alright. I think the way it, I think we've said this multiple times, they're not bad. Their gimmick is, I think.
Yeah.
I miss good Johnny Gargano. I miss it very much. I even miss heel Austin Theory a bit. Even though these guys are technically heels, it just feels like Gargano is the main heel, and then the other, because Hartwell and Theory are kind of almost comedic to a point,
they are.
right? So
sure.
they don't even feel heel, so it's I don't know.
It is, I thought this was fine. It was nothing special. It's a quick way to make a
there
match.
There it is. It was fine.
So obviously, I'm assuming Reed's going to beat Theory, and then we'll move on to Gargano Reed, or we'll never, I guess we'll find out.
Which actually wasn't a bad match at TakeOver, right? So I'm fine with that again.
It's one of these things where it's, again, I think Gargano's a good performer. I just don't like the stuff they're giving him, and the fact that the Way is on a few of these shows multiple times, right? I
Right.
don't quite get
It's
it.
like, oh, well, they're short little segments. But well, yeah, there's like 5 of them in one show. It's like
Yes.
one long segment.
Somebody must be loving them, I guess.
Right.
But it's not us.
Right.
We then get Zoe Stark facing the debuting Saray. Zoe makes her entrance. There's a commercial, and then when we come back, it's Cameron Grimes talking to Mackenzie. So just an odd spot for this. We get one person makes an entrance, then it's a segment in between the other person coming. So, anyways, Grimes is mad at Kyle, and he says he'll pay for Kyle's hospital bills after their match, which I thought was kind of funny. He gets notice somebody hands him an envelope, and it basically
Which is very modern.
Right. It lets him know that Ted DiBiase has outbid him on an NFT, and Grimes is super angry and just yells about DiBiase as is part of his gimmick.
Which I think is kind of amusing.
Yeah, it is. What did you think of this?
It was alright. I do like that he's like, I'll beat the crap out of you, but don't worry, I'll pay for it because I'm rich, man.
Yeah, he's a millionaire now.
And I like the DiBiase thing just because I love when he shouts DiBiase because it is kind of funny.
It seemed kind of forced to me.
Yeah.
He's getting delivered information on paper, which just doesn't happen. And
yeah.
Not only that, they like interrupt him in a live interview on TV to hand him this information, which I think was a bit much as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
But Grimes' performance is always good, right? It was kind of a lame setup, but he does a good job in his performance. And he just wants to yell about DiBiase, which we all like. So they got him there. It just seemed like an awkward way to get there for me.
Right.
Saray then makes her entrance. What did you think about it?
We got a predictable, generic theme, but I feel like most of the time it sounds like that's a bad thing, and most of the time it is. I would say most of WWE's generic themes, like look at NXT UK,
right.
Are pretty not good. But this one was actually good. I think it actually kind of fit. Like, it works. Her Tron was pretty cool too. Her entrance, she kind of came out of, I think it was red smoke, and the sun kind of rises up on the Tron, which I thought was really cool actually. And then it's just kind of like a bright yellow and orange Tron with her name and a cool kind of logo, font, whatever. And I think the overall, it looked good. I think she got a pretty nice entrance. Like,
yeah, I thought it looked good.
I think it was pretty good.
Me too. So they shake hands to start, and then Zoe is in control off of a test of strength from the beginning of the match. We get escapes by Saray and a drop kick to Stark's leg and a huge stomp using the top rope as leverage to like jump a little bit higher. We get a chancery with a leg lock by Saray, and Stark gets to the ropes for a rope break. Then we get, I felt like Stark dominated a good portion of this match starting here. She hits a sliding clothesline for a 2 count, a suplex as she continues to dominate here, series of elbows by Stark. Saray finally shifts the momentum with an elbow and a low drop kick to knock Stark off the apron. We get a forearm exchange and Saray fires up. We get a follow-in. I call it a follow-in knee. It's where you Irish whip and then you sort of chase them right over to the ropes to surprise them.
Yeah, like they kind of bounce the ropes and then you bounce the ropes and they have to turn around and then
So Stark does it, hits a knee, and then immediately followed by Saray, who does it with a drop kick, and I thought both looked really cool. We get a nice drop kick to the seated Stark's face, right?
Yeah, Saray excels at drop kicks.
Her drop kicks look nice. Fisherman suplex by Saray for a 2 count. Heel kick, half and half, and a sliding knee by Stark for 2, which I thought was a nice combination. A missed 450. So I think she's shown the ability, but she's never hit one
It's
kind
of like big men with moonsaults.
Right? And a roll-up for 2 by Saray off of that missed 450. Another heel kick by Stark for 2. Spinning heel kick, forearm, exploder suplex for the win for Saray. Toni Storm shows up, attacks Zoe Stark after the match.
Because they heard me on the podcast say, I want more Toni Storm.
And Saray comes over to make the save and sort of stand with Zoe Stark here. What did you think of the match?
I thought this was a really strong match. I think pairing Saray with Stark was smart because despite Stark being relatively new, she's proven herself to be great in the ring. Despite losing 90% of her matches, I think she won her first like squash match and then beat Toni Storm.
Yep.
And that was like literally it. And Saray was actually pretty good here, which is good compared to like Toni Storm, Kushida, and others who didn't live up to the hype for a while or still haven't in the case of Toni Storm. Her drop kicks were good among other moves, like her heel kick I thought was really good, and the exploder suplex was fine. And I thought it was an odd finish, just because it's very like simple, but I think the heel kick maybe by itself would have been better because it looked pretty good. But anyways, a decent finish there. I thought it was a great match. Saray's off to a great start already, which is good to see. Yeah,
I really enjoyed this match as well. I was a little bit surprised that Saray, I don't mind it, I was just surprised that Saray debuts with such a competitive match. And
I was saying, like, I think that kind of showcases it a little better, because, like, you're not always going to be in squash matches, right?
Right.
So I think it showcases her ability to maybe sell and like just kind of work an actual match, which I
And she
think
can help get Zoe Stark over,
right.
right? And
And
still win.
I don't know, just like yes, she's not dominant right away, but I don't think people always need to be
No,
dominant
I
right
agree.
away. I think sometimes like it's not. I almost like it better because like it shows me they can compete in an actual match, and I'm like, oh yeah, they had some cool moves squashing some jobber.
Right. Uh, and I think at this point it's safe to say I think Zoe Stark is pretty awesome. Her offense again looked really good here. I was impressed by Saray as well. Her offense looks crisp and impactful, despite being so tiny. They're talking about her being only 5 feet tall. So it's sort of a criticism I've had about a bit Kairi Sane and a lot more Riho, is that their moves just don't seem to have a lot of impact. And it's clearly not just because they're small, because Saray has managed, her drop kicks looked really forceful to me.
Right, and in that heel kick.
So I quite like this, and I welcome Saray. It's already a stacked division, but let's keep adding more talent. I got no problem with it. I thought this was a really good debut for her.
For sure.
And Stark looked good in defeat again.
Mm-hmm.
We then get Dakota Kai and Gonzalez. They're backstage. Gonzalez is asked about Io's comments from earlier in the show. And when she's asked about specifically the rematch portion, Raquel puts Io over, but says that she's been busting her butt and will continue to represent as an even better champion than Io was. Dakota then sort of takes over the interview and says that they beat Io so bad that Io's having to take some time off. Mackenzie asks her about other challengers. Dakota mentions Mercedes, saying that Mercedes wants a shot, but Dakota wants to learn magic at Hogwarts, and they don't all get what they want. Raquel says that the women of NXT...
Yeah, she's on Up, Down, Down and stuff. I guess she's kind of a geek.
Nice. Raquel says that the women of NXT can line up and she'll knock them all down. What did you think?
I thought it was a decent promo, but they seem heel, whereas
yeah, for sure.
they were face last week, but you were kind of mentioning non-canon, whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that segment last week I was saying when Belair and Ripley come out, it kind of felt non-canon to me. Like it's not actually part of anything.
It's just kind of like almost a
just
celebration of like...
Yes.
Hey.
If it weren't for Frankie Monet's appearance, I would say like this will never be spoken of again. It was just for that moment kind of
like
and that photo op.
A nice moment.
Right. So I liked this, but I was a little bit confused, same as you. They seemed like baby faces last week, but rather heelish tonight. But again, maybe that segment...
I would rather them be heels,
Me
for
too.
the record.
I much prefer them as heels.
Although
so
then I question the choice of Mercedes Martinez as the first challenger.
And I think Dakota Kai is awesome. I'm hoping they keep these two together because I really don't want to see her turn and be the babyface challenger. I'm okay because that's just done to death. I'm happy with her being like a mouthpiece and sort of promoting Gonzalez as long as she gets her chance.
Right,
at some
or even Gonzalez turning, or like her turning on Gonzalez, and then Gonzalez is kind of like face, and like I don't think either of them.
But down
should
the
do
road
that.
would be nice. I like the two of them together. I don't want anything immediate. Keep them heels, keep them together would be my preference.
For sure.
More from the way as Candice is backstage talking to Indy Hartwell. She says Indy needs to stop being distracted by boys and she needs to focus. And I think Indy says that Loomis is a man, not a boy. That they deserve to be champions, and they run into Moon and Blackheart. Candice says that Ember Moon and Shotzi aren't even a real team, and that she and Indy are family. Moon basically says, why don't you tell Indy that? The camera kind of pulls back, and Indy is gone. She has deserted Candice.
Yeah, as Candice is walking over to them, she kind of went to, because she saw Loomis.
Right. Oh, that's right. She went off with her boyfriend. Candice is sort of flips a drink that Ember Moon is carrying all over Moon, and the faces in true baby face fashion take down Candice and drag her
abduct her into the dressing room and beat her down.
The heck out of her in the dressing room. So
isn't that just nice?
What did you think of this overall?
Thought overall it was not my favorite thing. It was just like another pointless way segment.
Yep.
And don't really care about Loomis. Don't care about these tag titles anymore already. And I hate Chelsea Blackheart.
I was saying before that they're really sort of doubling down on the way as a family, and I've been saying it for a while, but now you even had Theory referring to Gargano as Papa John.
Earlier,
and then I was saying that this feels like the teenage girl is in love with the bad boy, right? And mom is saying like, he's no good for you, blah, blah, blah. And she's going, but I love him. You know, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting from it, which could be entertaining. I don't know. I'm just not loving the way right now. We then get a recap of the Kushida Escobar match with some verbal and social media praise from various places, which I think was well deserved. It was a good match.
Mm-hmm. And obviously a noteworthy title change.
My complaint about this was, again, you're giving Kushida time and time on TV.
But you're kind of wasting it.
Right. You're not giving me anything I can connect to. Nothing about his character, nothing about him, just a recap of a match and some hype. And I get the reason to hype. I get the hype about him in the ring now because he has grown on me in ring considerably.
Right, but
I just want to care.
That's only half the deal.
Right. I want to care about him, and
I don't.
Right, I don't, and there's nothing that they're doing to sort of.
And now he's a champion too, right?
Make a connection with me. So Kushida gets a chance to speak here. He says tonight he gives the same opportunity he got and asks who wants a title shot. And in the efforts of making just a super entertaining, interesting match, it's no offense, Oni Lorcan comes out to accept the challenge. So
oh yeah, and I forgot to mention in our first take, Kushida is now wearing ankle tape in favor of boots, which I do not like.
He's evolving, and he's now wearing like trunks and no shoes.
I just don't really like it because I don't think it really makes sense.
I don't know where they're going with it, but. So another guy who really has no character but is good in the ring coming out, and that's Oni Lorcan versus Kushida. Starts with holds and counters and escapes. We get an arm breaker applied by Kushida early on. Lorcan has to get to the ropes for a rope break. Lorcan's kicked off the top rope to the floor, heading into a commercial. During that commercial, Lorcan took over by countering Kushida's handspring with a nice European uppercut. We get an abdominal stretch by Lorcan, and Kushida fights his way out. Running palm strike by Kushida. Another palm strike in the middle of a flurry in the corner to Lorcan. Missile drop kick to Lorcan's arm and a forearm shot. Blockbuster by Lorcan for 2 a little bit later. Some loud chops from Lorcan that just fire up Kushida. So Kushida is sort of in the ring. Escobar walks out. Wilde and Mendoza are attacking from behind. MSK run out to make the save, and the heels sort of retreat into the background. We get a handspring, drop kick to the elbow, and the hoverboard lock is applied to Lorcan for the win, and Kushida retains his championship. Surprise, surprise. What did you think?
Before I do that, remember when Oni Lorcan was just like the face kind of enhancement talent guy? You remember you loved him?
I remember I saw him on the Indies when he was Biff Busick, and I thought, if you had said, what are the chances this guy gets the WWE, I would have said like 0 to 2%.
I just remember him being like the best jobber.
I like when he does, and he hasn't done it in a while, where he's just
crazy
fires up and runs around and
because he was not really babyface anymore.
Yeah. No, I know.
I just remember he was like one of their best, like, I don't know, kind of jobbers.
Yeah,
like
big
just
enhancement guy.
lower
He was good.
card guy. Even like when he and Danny Burch are just like kind of the low card team. Remember they had that match with Undisputed Era that you really liked, and they were in that ladder match where the Street Profits won.
He can go in the ring. He's just not very entertaining anywhere else.
I think they were fine as the tag team who never really did much, or Pat McAfee's Goons, but
right. What'd you think of this match?
But I thought it was a decent match, nothing amazing. They have very different in-ring styles, in my opinion, and they're so similar, though, because they're both pretty good in ring. Kushida's probably better, I think.
Yeah, I would say.
But they're both boring as hell outside the ring. But the difference is, one is a lower card guy whose tag partner's injured, and the other is your cruiserweight champion.
Right.
Overall, a fine match, but the previous match was much better, and I was hoping for someone more interesting to accept the challenge than Oni Lorcan. No offense to Oni Lorcan.
I didn't love this for some reason. Nothing really wrong with it per se. I just didn't get into it. Neither of these guys have any character, as we said. The outcome was never in doubt, right?
I think that's even worse when it's a predictable outcome, is you also don't really, like, neither of them are interesting.
Right. I didn't like Escobar. I thought he kind of looked weak in the aftermath there, because the final thing was him getting hit with the handspring kick to the floor and then them retreating. So I didn't love that. But I guess we'll see where it goes. A rematch happening, maybe? Right. I don't know. I was hoping Escobar was done with cruiserweight stuff, but maybe not yet. Obviously, it looks like. We then get Mercedes Martinez. She has a chance to speak. She says she's been waiting on Raquel because she called her out and still has heard nothing in reply, and that they could have talked about it, meaning Gonzalez and Kai, in their interview earlier in the show, but they didn't. She tells Dakota Kai that she's in Gonzalez's shadow and that Martinez will beat her before taking the title from Gonzalez. What'd you think?
I thought this was fine. I mean, I think Martinez is, like, she's not bad. She's actually pretty good, but just nothing super interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought she was good here and that she has a bit of a point, right? She hasn't really gotten a response. I don't quite understand why, instead of getting a response, she's just like, I'll fight Kai instead, but I guess that's her decision.
Maybe to, I don't know, get a response.
I think
maybe because Kai won't want, or like because she's gonna go through the sidekick.
Right, I guess. I think Martinez is a believable badass, and I think she and Kyle probably have a good match. I assume Martinez wins to give Gonzalez a contender that she can dispatch of quickly to sort of get her title reign going, but we'll see where it goes, I guess. I like Dakota Kai, so I'm hoping that she still has a role to play in this company for a while. We then get some more from the way. Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory are talking
this is
backstage.
what we need, right?
Gargano wants to know how the Theory Reed match was set up, because it's sort of like Theory went over Johnny's head and got this match with Reed, and he's not happy. Johnny's not happy about it. Candice walks in looking like comedically, kind of cartoonily beaten up.
Right, yeah.
And then Indy shows up and says she saw Regal and that he has given Candice and herself a tag team title match. They do a team cheer, but Candice is just kind of sitting there because she's a bit too beaten up to respond, I guess. For me, simply too much way tonight. I don't know. Do people really like this group and want to see them this many times? I don't. This wasn't really anything. You?
Yeah, I didn't really care for this too much. Like, it was fine.
Yep. We then move on to America's favorite tag team, Everrise, is finally back due to public demand, I would imagine. Versus
Jobbing out to Imperium.
Versus Imperium. Eichner starts out, he just runs over Martel to start, and Eichner I thought looked awesome in the beginning
Martel and Bartel.
Just super aggressive. Parker tags in eventually, more of the same, just getting beaten down by Eichner, including a fallaway slam before Eichner tags out. Double sliding drop kicks to the upside down Parker. Killian Dane walks out for some reason. And Drake Maverick attacks Wolf, who's at ringside, and Dane grabs Maverick and drags him away. So I don't quite know what's going on there. We get a top rope uppercut by Imperium for the win after that brief distraction by
like
Dane
the
and Maverick.
uppercut power bomb called the.
That's right.
The European bomb.
What did you think?
I have no idea why Dean Maverick came out. This was a pointless match. The feud that they're setting up seems to be pointless. Pointless.
An enhancement match to get Imperium a win, and Dane and Maverick involved, I guess, with them. Nothing special ever rises.
I really hope it's not they want to recruit Dane, because that makes zero sense to me.
I guess they can try and make it make sense, but yeah, it seemed a little bit odd as to their involvement here.
Right. It seems like, I don't know, just something for people to do,
I guess. Kyle O'Reilly, as he's on his way to the ring, backstage sort of walks by Karrion Kross and Scarlett briefly and pauses there as he and Kross are like face to face for a second. And then he just sort of heads to the ring. And we're going to get Kyle O'Reilly versus Cameron Grimes here. We get some standing holds and reversals before the two hit the mat. Kyle tries to get...
Oh, we haven't talked about this yet.
Oh, we're at the point where we... this feels nice. We're past the point of repeating ourselves.
This is take one.
Not that you guys have heard it twice, but we've done it twice.
Take one from now on.
Yeah, this is all take one now. This is fresh stuff here, folks. Get ready. Kyle tries to get Grimes' arm, but Grimes fights it off. Grimes then does the same to Kyle. We get a shoulder tackle by Grimes, but he's tripped by O'Reilly. Knee and a dramatic slap by O'Reilly. Kicks by O'Reilly. Arm by applied by O'Reilly, but Grimes rolls to the ropes.
Arm by?
We get a backflip escape in a German by Grimes heading into the commercial, which I thought was nice. Grimes works Kyle's neck before a strike exchange. Clothesline by Grimes for 2. Kicks and a boot choke in the ropes by Grimes. Irish whip with a cartwheel by Grimes, which I don't know if I've seen before. Grimes targets O'Reilly's neck some more because since that brainbuster on the steps by Cole, right, it's been a bit of a neck issue for O'Reilly that people are sort of tapping into. We get some more rope running and a big knee to the gut of Grimes. Kicks and strikes by Kyle so fast, right? Just a flurry of those kicks he does that look awesome.
He's MMA guy.
Running forearm in the corner, arm snap over the shoulder, and a suplex by O'Reilly. O'Reilly kicks the legs out from under Grimes. Grimes is groggy from a guillotine applied by O'Reilly, takes a big knee, but then counters O'Reilly into a spinning side slam. Boot by Grimes, pop-up knee from O'Reilly, forearms, and the crossbody C4 by Grimes.
Fallaway moonsault slam.
There you go, which always looks cool. A rebound clothesline, strikes, and a brainbuster by O'Reilly. Knee drop to the back, and O'Reilly wins. What did you think?
I thought it was a good main event. I think both guys are great. And there were some good exchanges. I really hope O'Reilly does not lose to Cross many challenges because I think he lost too many times to Balor. But overall, good match. I think still my favorite match is the women's
I
one.
think I agree with you. I'm worried that O'Reilly's going to be this guy
He's
that's
gonna be
like
fed to cross.
right.
Well, it's not even that like he'll always be like that, but I think that it's like after he's finally gained some momentum after losing to Balor, they're just going to go back to it. Because I think eventually he'll win, but I think
See,
he should just do it now.
My fear is that he's perennially the guy that's like in the title picture when they need somebody, but never quite gets it. That's
Dolph
my
Ziggler.
fear, right? Well, we need a babyface contender for this heel, whatever. Let's get O'Reilly in for a quick.
Right.
I'm hoping not, because he's awesome. I really enjoyed the second half of this match. I thought it picked up quite a bit, but again, I think we said it a lot this show. The result was never in doubt, right? We know who's winning this. I'm really happy to see Grimes have a strong showing in a main event. And it showing people that he's still serious in the ring despite doing this kind of over-the-top comedy character. Inside the ring, this guy is a terrific talent, regardless of how silly and over-the-top his character is. I thought it was a good main event to further establish Kyle as the main event babyface, but kind of felt like a second-tier main event, I guess, to me.
Right,
but
I think the women's match would be
but I enjoyed
a better main event.
Yeah. Overall thoughts on the show and a letter grade?
Overall, I thought a pretty good show. Like not too bad. Opening segment was fine, and I really enjoyed Stark versus Saray. It was a really good match, especially for TV, and a great debut for Saray. Kushida versus Oney Lorcan was decent, but nothing spectacular. Main event was, I would say it's same, better, but like nothing too interesting. However, I did not really enjoy Loomis versus Knight, Breezango, Grizzled Young Veterans was like okay, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed it.
Right.
Or anything. Imperium and Everrise and whatever Killing Dane thing. No. And especially not the Beth Phoenix interview with Io Shirai. I was not a fan of Escobar still being in the Cruiserweight division or Leon Ruff's promo. Overall, I would say this is a B show. There was stuff I liked, but I think there was more stuff I didn't like or didn't care about.
Right. I actually, as we've gone over it, I think I liked it a little less than I thought I did. So I just adjusted my grade on the fly slightly here. So overall, I thought it was fine, but not a spectacular show. I enjoyed Saray's debut, and the match with Zoe Stark might have been my highlight as well. The main event was entertaining, and so was the Loomis night match minus the finish for me. I liked the Gonzalez segments, but again, the way who I'm not a huge fan of were sprinkled throughout this show. It didn't help. It wasn't a bad show. I'm going to give it a B minus. I just bumped it down to a B minus because there was a bunch of things that, like, I feel like I kept saying, like, the outcome was never in doubt, and there was a lot of the way that was annoying and stuff. So I'm going to say a B minus. Not a bad show, but on the cusp of not being enjoyable for me.
That's true.
Right? All right, so let's move into our next segment, which, as always, is our weekly trivia segment. And that is Off the Top of His Head. So this week we are back to the WWE trivia deck, but the modern, not the board game from the 90s, the actual modern trivia deck.
Like the trivia deck.
So your brother helped me. This is the one that you crushed because they're all just general WWE trivia, which you do very well. So let's get into it.
Not the weird questions that they put in the
or things that I find to sort of educate and entertain that might be really hard to answer. So I'm expecting you'll do very well here. Your brother helped me get these ready. So you ready? First question of 15. Who was the first member of the McMahon family to compete at WrestleMania?
Shane?
Correct. Now, I don't have details of when it was.
I would have to guess WrestleMania 15. He had a European title match with
I would not doubt you on those details.
X-Pac.
Which WWE Hall of Famer lost 2 championships in one match at WrestleMania 2000?
Kurt Angle.
Correct.
That was when he was Eurocontinental Champion. It was a 2 or 3 falls triple threat with Benoit. And...
Did that already come up in take 1 or take 2 today?
Because
you mentioned him
in the news. I mentioned that his rookie year was right. And I think Jericho took the European title from him, and Benoit took the Intercontinental title, and then Jericho lost the European title the night after to Eddie Guerrero when China turned on him and joined with Eddie Guerrero.
You know what? I've just realized I'm really glad. Imagine that we got the off the top of his head done.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
shut off.
that would be funny.
Because you would have to act like you hadn't heard all the questions before.
Right.
Because he hasn't, I promise you. Okay. Who won the first Fatal 4-Way elimination match at... elimination WrestleMania main event at Mania 2000?
Triple H.
Correct. Told you they'd crush these.
Against Mick Foley, Rock, and Big Show. I think Jericho's originally supposed to be in it.
And I promise, folks, this is off the top of his head.
Foley wore a blue plaid shirt or vest instead of a red one. I just remember that because I played it in the 2K14, like they had the 30 years of WrestleMania mode. I remember like that was different from his usual attire.
I don't even tell him the topic of the trivia until we're in it, so this is all just stuff off the top of his head.
And it was a
literally.
McMahon in every corner.
Oh, yeah.
Steph was with Triple H. I think Vince was with The Rock. Linda was with Foley, and Shane was with Big Show.
Nice. Who ended Stone Cold Steve Austin's first WWE Championship reign? It's a tough one.
Let me think.
You can have a second. Not too long. I'll vamp. I'll just keep talking.
Was it vacated?
Talking. Was it what?
Was it vacated? It was vacated in the same year.
No. It says who ended it. Hurry up. Think big.
Mankind?
No. Mask wearer, though.
Kane.
At one point.
Oh, right, Kane. And then he lost it the night after.
There you go. Oh, yeah, that was Kane's big title reign.
Yeah, King of the Ring 98,
right.
Yeah.
Who was the first WWE superstar to win Money in the Bank and not become champion?
Mr. Kennedy.
Correct.
2007.
Can you say it properly? Mr. Whatever.
Kennedy. And then he lost it to Edge, who cashed in, I think, on Undertaker, won the World Heavyweight title.
If you say so. Who took Roman Reigns' place at TLC 2017?
Kurt Angle teamed with Ambrose and Rollins as the Shield.
And that's that figure that we used to see. There'd be like no other figures.
It was ringside exclusive too. And there was like
dozens of them.
20 at Toys R Us or whatever. And they were facing Miz, The Bar, Braun Strowman, and Kane.
Nice.
In a 3-on-5 handicap TLC match.
Who won the ECW championship at WrestleMania 24?
Kane.
Why would you know that?
He beat Chavo Guerrero in like less than a minute.
Okay.
Which
WWE superstar shocked the universe and returned to win the Royal Rumble in 2008?
John Cena.
Yes, figured that'd be too
Madison Square Garden.
Gee, I bet you get this one too. Who won the Miss Mania Battle Royal at the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania?
Santina Marella.
Correct. Santina Marella.
I
know, you got it right. Who is the only tag team in sports entertainment history? I got this one, just so you know. So you'll definitely get it. To hold the WWE, WCW, and ECW World Tag Team Championships.
Dudley Boys.
Correct. Which 3 WWE superstars comprised 3MB? Canadian.
Heath Slater, Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal.
Canadian legend Jinder
Mahal. And honorable member, Hornswoggle.
Right. What was the name of the first ever licensed WWE home video game? Come on, my gamer son.
WrestleMania 2000?
Just WrestleMania. Kind of lame. Yeah. I don't know when it was. Andre the
90s
Giant
maybe?
won the WWE World Tag Team Championship with which member of the Heenan family in 1989?
Haku. Causal Connection.
Nice. Good job. Who won the first ever mixed tag team match at WrestleMania? Ooh. That's going back a ways. Because I'd forgotten it, but when I hear it, I was like, of course, it has to be.
You get a hint?
The female was a non-wrestler, I think.
Stephanie McMahon?
No. Think polka dots.
Oh, Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire?
Correct.
Really?
Yeah. Who won
That's odd.
the first Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic?
Finn Balor and Samoa Joe.
I even remember that one.
And I think this is before like the winners got a title shot. Cause Finn Balor was even the NXT champion at the time.
Right.
Which was odd.
Yeah,
but I guess because it was just like, it was the first one, right? Just to honor Dusty Rhodes.
And I remember
right?
thinking, they just threw them together. They're not going to win. And then sure enough, they did.
I think they even beat Baron Corbin and Rhino in the finals.
The lone wolf, Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
At that point. Well, that was the last question, so you crushed that as expected.
Uh-huh.
And now we will transition back into an in-depth review, and it's a take one of that, so that'll be exciting. And that is taking a look at this week's AEW Dynamite.
Alright, and our opener for Dynamite is going to be Hangman Adam Page versus Team Taz's Absolute Ricky Starks, who we saw the return of his solo theme.
And I mean, I assume Team Taz just dominates constantly, right? So Ricky Starks is for sure going to win this
Of course. And we know Hangman Page is
never wins.
at the
Jobber.
bottom of the rankings,
Yep.
and he is the jobber.
So to be clear, it's not an NXT thing. Sometimes the result is never in doubt, but generally, I think AEW has stronger matches, so I don't dwell on that quite as much, right? Sorry, go ahead.
So holds and counters. Hangman counters a leapfrog from Starks. He tries to kind of leap over him, catches it, and hits a body slam.
And Taz joins us on commentary here, and I thought he did a really good job at the very beginning of putting Page over as a special talent, and I agree. He puts him he describes him basically as a hybrid of pretty much every style, which Page really is, right? So I thought Taz was really going out of his way to make Page sound good here, which was kind of cool.
He kind of does like a good job of not being completely biased, which is
Right.
odd because he's literally a manager of one of the guys, whereas Wade Barrett is not, and he's like completely biased for no reason.
But then
at all.
if your guys actually win, they look stronger because you're acknowledging that his opponent is actually awesome.
You can just say that your guy's better though,
right.
even if he's not.
Yep.
Corner stomps by Hangman. Starks is sent to the apron. Hangman misses his springboard clothesline, but he goes for it again, hits it there. Falls with the usual slingshot plancha. Pump handle, half Nelson suplex by Hangman for 2 with the bridge.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Starks avoids a suplex and sends Hangman throat first in the middle rope. A hammer thrown to the corner by Starks really puts his body into it. Snapmare and then a forearm to the back, kind of the spine by Starks. Hangman hits a German suplex, which was the bump I heard Starks took on his neck hard. They kind of played it off as he almost no-sold it, because he kind of
I gasped.
They played it off as he almost flipped out of it, because he kind of no-sold it.
Yeah, they tried to be like he landed on his feet, which is what he was supposed to do.
I don't even know.
I think he was. I think this was him flipping out and landing on his feet, but man landed on his neck.
I think his feet still touch the ground.
I'm glad he's okay, because it looked bad, man. Like, I gasped.
DDP yoga.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So he's okay because he continued on perfectly fine.
He did. He seemed fine. Surprisingly.
Hangman catches a dive and clubs him with a clothesline. A fallaway slam by Hangman and a brain buster for 2. Corner clothesline by Hangman. Starks ducks a sliding lariat. A sit-up powerbomb for 2 by Starks. An avalanche fallaway slam by Hangman, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
A big clothesline by Hangman afterwards for a near fall.
And Starks was good timing. Starks was bless you, really selling his leg to the point where I was like, is his leg actually hurt? Because even he was taking the time when he was climbing the ropes to only kind of use one leg. I don't know if you noticed, but I thought he was doing such a good job that I was kind of like, I wonder if his legs actually hurt, because they weren't talking about it as part of the storyline, right? So he seemed fine, obviously.
Starks ducks the buckshot lariat and hits the spear for a near fall, which is pretty smooth.
Yeah, he's so quick. He's got a nice spear.
Hangman flips Starks over kind of in like a headlock takedown. He gets him into a bulldog choke.
Right.
While also pulling the leg kind of. And then that's an interesting submission Wibna. That's what I typed.
Nice.
Win. Hangman gets the win. Taz says Hangman got lucky. He says Hangman needs to watch his back. Literally, because he takes a chop block from Hook, who was ringside. Cage comes out, and I thought he was going to stop them to further this infighting. That does not make sense.
I thought so too.
But then he's about to deliver a powerbomb to Page, and then Dark Order chase off Team Taz.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I thought the match was good. There's been better openers for sure, but this wasn't bad. I expected them to work a lot faster than they did, right? Because I thought, it's Starks and Page. Starks is super quick, and Page can be if he wants to be. So it wasn't quite as fast a pace as I wanted, but I still enjoyed it. Page is the number 1 contender right now, right? So my question to you is, how long do you think before he gets a title shot?
I think they are going to try to prolong it because they want to give Omega a good rank. I think Page is going to be the one to defeat Omega because they have history.
Yes.
Page is amazing. And I think I do want him to win, but it's almost like I think too soon for him to be ranked number 1. Or maybe he loses now and then maybe he has to work his way back up.
But I like they're not. There's no story right now with Page and Omega other than like what's happened in the past, but they're not focusing on any of that. So
I think they're going to prolong it because I think that's smart. I don't think
Me too.
think Omega deserves more time.
That's what I wanted, because that match, like if they build that right, like that's
Because I think their match at Full Gear, I even remember saying it was a little short.
That could be like your main event on your major pay-per-view, right? With
Right.
these two guys, if you build it correctly. So I'm hoping that there's a major
Maybe
build.
they'll wait till Double or Nothing
That's
at the
why
very least.
That's why I find it a bit odd that he's already the number one contender, because you really are going to have to, in my opinion, delay this for a while and build things, right?
I think at least Double or Nothing they'll put off, because I feel like that's their biggest pay-per-view. I honestly don't know. It's either that or All Out.
Right.
I would think it's All Out, because I don't know, because Double or Nothing was their first pay-per-view, but All Out is basically All In.
Yes.
So.
And I mean, Page is awesome. He is a hybrid, right? He can literally work any style. And I think
even if he were to lose and then he has to build himself back up, I think he could afford that.
And when crowds come back, man, I'm telling you, this guy's going to be
like legit
super mega over.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I thought it was a good match. Standard good opener from AEW. I could be better, but still good.
Yep.
Starks took that neck bump. It was jarring, but he continued fine, so it was all good. A good match. I like Hangman trying a new finish, but I wish the submission had looked maybe a little better.
Yeah, it's like they're developing a submission finisher for him, right?
Right, and I like the buckshot better, and Deadeye.
Yeah.
When Hook and Starks attacked, I figured Cage would make the save to further the Team Taz infighting storyline, but I guess not, which I'm fine with because I don't want them to.
The beatdown post-match and the factions running in, it's kind of in danger of being overdone in AEW right now, and I do like factions a lot, so I'm kind of torn, right? If I do like factions, but I don't need 20 guys at the ring after most of the matches is what it feels like sometimes.
Overall, good opener, good start to the show.
I would agree.
Next we just see the Elite and the Good Brothers arrive. That's right. That is a roast on the Good Brothers. They are not Elite.
Heading into their trailer, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. That is very much a roast on the Good Brothers.
Yep.
Next we get Penta, El Zero, Miedo versus Trent Beretta.
Could be a sick match, is what I had my first note.
Why I gave him his last name there, don't know.
That's okay.
New solo theme for Penta. Can't really hear it. Sounds fine though. Yeah. Which is good. Promo from Penta. Love the translator guy. He's kind of got like Batman kind of ears on his mask. He still looks cool.
So I found a comparison for him. It hit me because Penta's physical charisma, right, is super unique. The subtle little movements and gestures and stuff he does.
He was in the Sarah Miedo.
And so reminds me of peak New Japan Nakamura. Because he just did weird stuff on the way to the ring and weird stuff in the middle of his matches. Which he even did
in NXT, which I remember, I always thought that was weird at first.
And it all worked. Like, you just wanted to keep watching him because he was going to do strange little things. And I feel the same about Penta, right? Like, you just want to pay attention to him because he does things a little bit differently. And it just hit me. Like, that was, for me, peak New Japan Nakamura, where I just didn't want to take my eyes off. And when he was my favorite wrestler in the world before WWE broke him, obviously.
Right.
So yeah, I thought that's comparison just hit me.
Trent had some cool tights as well.
He did.
And also the Best Friends theme still exists.
They had cool, both of these guys have really good ring gear. And I'm not a guy who cares a ton about it, but they both looked cool, especially Penta always looks amazing.
Yeah, and Best Friends theme still exists because they've been using Orange Cassidy's
theme I like
ever since he got it. Yeah, but I like it more as just Cassidy's.
That's what I mean. I like that they're using both because I think that should be Cassidy's theme.
And I don't mind the Best Friends theme.
No, it's fine.
It's pretty good. Holds and counters to start. Penta throws the glove at Trent. Sarah Miedo. Yes, I'll note that every time.
The glove toss. Oh no.
Strike exchange. Sarah Miedo. A running Meteora by Trent as Penta's running the ropes, which I thought was really interesting because you usually got to get hype for that. But it looked awesome actually. Yep. Back suplex by Trent and a big lariat. Tope con hilo by Trent, and he almost over-rotated.
Yeah, he did.
Springboard crossbody by Penta, sling blade for 2. Sarah Miedo. Trent avoids the package pile driver. Super kick by Penta, rolling elbow by Trent, and he has a great tornado DDT, I must say, from Trent.
It was nice.
Springboard destroyer by Penta.
Perfect. Put perfectly hit by Penta.
Right.
Looked so nice.
A half and half suplex by Trent post commercial break, which he's pretty good at. In this one, he lands on the neck instead of the stomach, which I think it probably looks more devastating.
And it was cool because he escaped the backstabber and countered with the half and half, which I thought was cool.
A running shotgun knee by Trent for 2, which is a staple of his moveset.
Yep.
Penta slips out of a top rope move and super kicks Trent's legs, so he's kind of sitting on the middle rope and falls with the backstabber. Penta hits Fear Factor, which is its technical name. It's a pump handle, half Nelson, and then he kind of flips him over into a driver.
That's why you're here, buddy. My notes say pump handle driver of some sort by Penta.
Pump handle, half Nelson driver.
It was nice.
And I believe he called it Fear Factor, which is a cool name.
It was nice.
Which gets him a 2 count. Strike exchange on the apron, and an apron pile driver by Trent. He kind of went down a little too early.
It wasn't the best, no.
But it did look safer at least, so.
And that was my thing. If that's what you need to do to make a pile driver on the apron safe,
enough.
Then I'm fine with it. Yep.
Spear
safe.
On the outside by Trent, and then Alex Abrahantes, I hope I'm saying that right.
I think you are.
Says Penta said that best friends and Sue suck, and then so Trent chases Alex. He goes in the ring. Cassie appears behind him. Orange Cassidy was at ringside. Penta super kicks Cassidy, which is always amusing. He's just staying. I remember when they were this original feud between Death Triangle and Best Friends. I remember Cassidy would just be staying in the ramp, and you see Phoenix flying in with like the heel kick or whatever. And he just decapitates Orange Cassidy. So that gave me that kind of vibe. Alex hits Trent with the mic as the ref is distracted, and Penta hits the Sarmiento package pile driver for the win.
I really enjoyed this match. The finish wasn't my favorite because it's a distraction, whatever. But
I think it was kind of
they are heels, and it gets Alex more involved in the actual match and not just promos. Much. He's so good, right? He's just like you talking about Penta's mannerisms, but like he's just like, and he's into it too. Like it's not like he's just like the translator. But he's committed, man. He's doing a great job. So I thought that was a strong heel
I think
move.
this would have been a stronger as opener, in my opinion.
It's funny you say that. Trent isn't super interesting to me outside the ring. But he's good in the ring. He's awesome in the ring. These two put on an entertaining match, and ... preferred this to the opener. Is in my notes as well.
I think
even though I liked both.
Best Friends are even that kind of tag team where they're not the most interesting outside the ring, but I like them still like.
And AEW just like throw these matchups out. Everything still feels fresh. And everybody can wrestle. Everybody's allowed to wrestle. It's just fun.
And we're getting Penta versus Cassidy next week, which is just
that's interesting.
So nice.
Yep.
That is so very good. I thought this was a great little match. I'm gonna be the last person to complain about a win for Penta.
Yep.
Trent is also good, and so that results in a good match here. Nothing overly action packed, but I still really liked it. And it chugs along a feud I am very interested in. Also, Alex Abrahantes, he's great. Love him.
He's awesome.
And JR interviews the Pinnacle. More like JR interviews MJF with the Pinnacle sitting there as well.
Hey, Wardlow gets to speak.
Okay, Wardlow gets to speak. Yeah, sure. JR asks what MJF's reaction is to Jericho's immortal promo. MJF says he's been wearing scarves for years until I give him a gift. It's the same scarf, but in silk, because he's Rich Boy Max.
That's right.
Wardlow says if Jericho's promo was immortal, it would have been perfect. And he says MJF is a better promo, but Jericho cut one of the best of his career. Wardlow says when Jericho got to his name, he screwed up, and he knew as soon as he mentioned Wardlow, he made a mistake, which I thought was a funny way to spin that around.
Because what did Jericho say? Something about
he messed up. He said
$1 million
brain and
he meant to say $1 million body. Yeah.
Right.
So Wardlow saying like basically you knew as soon as you said my name, right? That you
Which I thought was a good way to spin it.
I thought it was good.
MJ says Jericho was the best until now. MJ says Jericho puts himself in matches with popular people like I think it was Cody, Kenny, Paige, Cassidy. And claims it was because of him, and the Jericho rub is actually non-existent, which I thought was a great jab.
And he even takes a shot at Inner Circle, right? You stand around with a bunch of B's, so you look like an A, and then you rent. You know what I mean?
Right.
I thought this was cool.
It was really good. It says Jericho couldn't keep MJF under his thumb because MJF is the best. MJF said Jericho said he should try to be better than Cutler and Nakazawa, but MJF is undefeated, and he actually already beat Jericho. That's how he got in,
that was
remember?
A pretty strong point. Like, I think I beat you, Chris.
Right, that's how he got in, I remember. He's better than Jericho, and Jericho knows it, which I thought was a great way to work in the catchphrase.
A lot of logic here from MJF.
MJ says Jericho should bring his family, not Mike Tyson, and MJF will bring his, and they will both do whatever it takes to win. And when you are in the Pinnacle, you're always on top. That's 2 great catchphrases for him, I must say.
My God, is MJF good? This was a killer promo. Showcased his versatility, right? You get humor, intensity, anger, putting over his teammates, making very good points along the way. He does all of this, and all of it's believable. Right. I thought he was amazing here. I thought Wardlow was solid in his. They gave him some smart things to say as well. I thought his delivery was pretty good. the fact that MJF specifically addressed most of the things from Jericho's promo last week, he kind of almost, not quite point by point went through it, but acknowledged what Jericho said and countered it, right? It's so good. He makes a bunch of decent points along the way. And if it's going to be this good, because I thought Jericho's promo was excellent last week too, these guys can go back and forth for months for all I care.
This can be a year-long feud for all I care.
So I thought MJF was extraordinary here. And again, it's interesting because they're not having all of them speak. And actually, Jericho brings up that, right? Like, you kind of monopolize your group's time.
But Jericho kind of did that as well.
Right, because it was just him and Santana. Anyways, we'll get to that. But amazing.
Even last week, it was just Jericho, right?
I thought this was fantastic. This is why MJF is sort of the future of heel. I described him to my wife, who's a non-wrestling person. She's mildly aware of. I said he's the next Ric Flair, basically. He's this generation's Ric Flair, right? I think.
And once he gets that level in ring, he's going to be unstoppable. I think.
So I thought this was fantastic.
Yeah. Only MJF and Wardlow spoke, but I don't think that was to a fault.
No.
I think MJF was absolutely amazing. I think Wardlow was pretty good too. He deserves some credit as well. The other guys didn't need to speak because MJF is just that damn good. He yells really loud every now and then, but it doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel out of place. It feels real. It feels like earned, I guess, so to speak.
I think he's just a good actor, right? In general.
And he takes funny shots at Jericho, as did Wardlow.
Yep.
And they make sense. He's got a bit of logic beyond heel logic, which is like a good sign of a good heel, or like you said, good actor. Because like Eddie Kingston had that, right, when he was heel. Truly one of the best. He is the future. This promos like this and Jericho's last week, to his credit, are the reason. Like, that's why I'm looking forward to Blood and Guts, besides just to see the stipulation and whatnot.
Absolutely.
But like beyond just to see a new match type, this like they're building a good feud around it.
They are. This was a great segment, I thought.
Next we have a Shida and Conti promo package. It's basically just both of them training, saying they're gonna win and whatever. It wasn't really anything noteworthy. But speaking of noteworthy, we get to the actual match, which is Tay Conti versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. So they bow instead of shaking hands. We get a strike exchange, knee lifts to the midsection by Shida, 2 running knees for 2 count by Conti. Conti is draped over the apron, and the signature running knee lift by Shida. Enziguri by Shida. Sorry, I'm just gonna grab the charger. Whoops.
Yep.
Alright. Enziguri by Shida. An outside suplex by Shida. A bow and arrow stretch in the ring by Shida, which is where she kind of holds the legs and the head and kind of like stretches her across her knees. Which is looks pretty effective. She transitions through many submissions afterwards, which was pretty cool. Conti is suplexed into the ring by Shida, which he called outside in suplex.
Yeah, I called it outside in. I don't know. It makes sense to me.
No, yeah, it works. Post-commercial break. A pump kick by Conti, and both are down. Clothesline and multiple judo throws by Conti. German suplex by Conti. Corner pump kick by Conti, and a running boot in the corner. Shida is draped over the ropes in the corner, kind of like across the corner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's right. Yes, on top, expanding
and then
the
an
corner.
interesting kind of senton by Conti to the back for 2.
Yeah,
a jumping knee strike by Shida and a Falcon Arrow for 2. Witches shot by Shida, which is so.
Good luck explaining it.
So she's standing on the top turnbuckle, right, with Conti and the fireman's carry, and she kind of like drops her on the actual turnbuckle. And
it looks pretty violent. I thought it was really cool.
I think that's a cool name too.
Yeah, me too.
A pump kick by Conti and the tie KO for a near fall. That should be her finisher. A dude buster by Shida, which is kind of like basically the Deadeye or Trent's pile driver thingy.
I think they call it the crunchy when Trent does it.
I just remember seeing it as the dude buster in the in 2K.
Yep.
Forearms by Conti. A fireman's carry into a backbreaker by Shida, which looks smooth.
Look nice.
In a tornado knee. I forget what they called it.
The katana.
Right. Tornado knee by Shida, the katana for the win, and Shida retains. And then Britt Baker comes out and then reveals on the Tron, now that Conti has lost, she's ranked number 1.
Like, she's just sitting at Gorilla waiting for Conti to lose, and the second she does, she comes out and like, updated rankings, I'm number 1 now, which I thought was awesome.
Thoughts?
Really good match. Shida looked better than usual, I thought, here, and I usually like her in ring. Again, character not so much, but in ring, awesome. Conti has just a massive future. She's looking like she could be a top babyface contender.
Which I would not have thought like
No.
a couple years ago.
She's improved a ton, especially her knee strikes and kicks.
Yeah,
look
I don't
awesome.
even know what it is. It seems like just like since she got to AEW, it's like we always say AEW's better than WWE, like just like in ring and whatnot. But like, is that why, or is it just like I honestly don't know? But she is better, whatever
She
it
looks
is.
great. Even her judo throws and stuff look awesome. So I'm hoping that I think Baker's taken the title off of Shida.
Yeah, she just had a good run. I think it didn't start great, but I think as of late it's been getting better.
And then I don't think it would take much to build Conti into a babyface challenger to Baker, right?
I think even beat Baker.
I'd be here for that. So
if Baker gets a good run.
At this point of the show, we're almost an hour in, and I was just made a note that this is a super hot first hour of this show. I thought, I've really enjoyed
3 matches
everything.
that I've liked.
Question: how do you feel about the women's division lately?
I'm feeling pretty good because I remember
it
last
was the
year,
weakness starting in.
We
this
were thinking
company.
even they're bringing the NWA championship and Serena Deeb.
Right.
Where's Deeb been? I honestly
Well, because NWA's back.
I guess right.
Filming now, right? So.
So yeah, there was like that, and now I think it's actually pretty good. You got
too.
what Conti, Baker, Shida, Rosa,
and even
Deeb if you need to.
Right, that's what I'm thinking
Anna
too.
Jay's going to be back eventually.
I don't even mind Nyla Rose at this point.
And even Bonnie is okay.
Yep.
Right.
So I think same thing. That's why I asked
Ryu
you.
Mizunami.
Yes, because it was the weakness of this company for quite a while, and maybe it's still not quite up to like the tag team and men's division, but it's better.
But it's
on
not
the
a
rise.
weakness,
right?
Per se.
No, it's on the rise for sure.
I thought this was a great match. Matches like this really help build a good legacy for the title, even if it's ugly and way too small. Conti and Shida are both really good. I think Conti has really improved. I think even Shida too, because like when she first came, I was like,
yeah, she's
okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Hard strikes and moves and a cool finishing move by Shida. Great stuff. I can't wait to see Baker versus Shida too. I think it's Baker's time.
And again, this was the segment that picked up the most viewers, right? So,
rightfully so.
And I think part of it is I'm pretty sure Conti's becoming a bit of an internet darling, right? Like on social media, even outside of wrestling, I think she gets some attention due to her relative attractiveness, right? So I think she gets some attention that way, which is never bad for the company.
She's Brazilian or whatever.
Yeah, so good match for sure.
Mm-hmm. Next we get a Miro promo, and so he says another week and still no Kip Sabian. I'm like, I know, right? Like it sucks.
You're the only one missing him, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says he hates unresolved business. He says he needs vindication. He says if you have a title, you have a problem, which I thought was a good line.
Yeah, me too.
He says you can't keep him from his destiny. The only question is which champion does he beat? I really like his promos when he's intense like this. Like, I think he's getting better.
This is the Miro we've been asking for, right? Since he got here. And whether it was his idea or someone else's to put him in kind of a comedy, whatever he was doing before. This is good, and this is how he should have been. He was intense, but yet he still had a little bit of a funny line about Omega having an Impact sort of mouthpiece with him in Callis, and that Darby Allin having like an emo daddy. Remember he referred to Sting,
or something like that.
So I'm happy because it hasn't taken long for AEW to turn Miro around for me. I'm happy to see him.
Right, it really wasn't a hard change to make. I'm glad they made it though.
Me too. And it's kind of like they just needed to play out. They're like, okay, we get it. You're not liking this Miro. Just let us get through it.
And I think that was a good way to end that feud. That arcade match was pretty good.
Yeah, that match was really fun. So I'm happy with Miro doing this. I liked it.
Yeah, it was really good. He's like this to the point where I think he just needs more matches now.
Yes, for sure.
Other than promos, but this was really good. And so now we got the Pinnacle, the pineapple.
I think. Sorry, just my final thing is I think now thinking about it, I'd love to see Miro Darby Allin.
That would be great.
Because Miro would just kill him for half an hour, right?
It would be
That'd be fun. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
They need to build him to that, but for sure.
That'd be a cool match.
He could even win, I would say.
Yep.
Tony Schiavone interviews the Inner Circle. We got the Pinnacle. Now we get the Inner Circle.
Yep.
This one's in the ring, actually.
Yep.
They didn't even use the group theme, which I like their group theme, but probably because the crowd has to get their Jericho singing
That is correct, which has started to annoy me a bit at this point.
Yeah, it was a really cool
moment
when
it
on
was
the
organic
cruise, and on the cruise,
and
right?
now
like,
it feels like it's an obligation.
Mandatory.
Yeah.
Which, like, I guess because, like, they did run with it, like, and it's starting to run old. Like, not quite yet, but almost. Jericho says, who cares about I wrote the penis. I forgot the L between the C and the E. And panders to the fans after the singing. Also, what's getting old is kind of calling them the pineapple every time. Like, if you're gonna mess up their name, it is funny, but, like, just make a new one.
Right. Mess it up in a few different ways. Yeah.
Right.
Like you can't be bothered to learn their actual name.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, something else. Jericho's Blood and Guts will be one of the most brutal and violent matches on TNT ever. Hager gifts them straws because they'll be sucking meals through a straw after Blood and Guts, and they suck. Yeah, he was not good. At least he only got one sentence though.
Awful.
Like he only got that one part.
And if that was like him responding to Wardlow, sort of like it's clear who did a better job out of those two. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
I thought he was brutal here.
Jericho says he saw the interview, but nobody spoke other than MJF and Wardlow, and he rips Wardlow's eyebrows for some reason, manicured eyebrows.
Yes, his perfectly manicured eyebrows. I guess he thinks that Wardlow gets his eyebrows done. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Santana says it was smart for MJF to get a faction, but he says they call those B-Touch moves. Censorship.
Right.
Jericho sings an insulting song about MJF. Do you want to see it? Go watch the segment.
I don't go see it. I thought it was lame.
It was whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't really care.
I got some problems with this.
Jericho says he washed his ass with the scarf before Tully gave it to MJF.
How would he even do that?
I don't know.
How does he know Tully's buying him the scarf?
I guess. I don't know.
I didn't like it.
Maybe
Anyways.
stole it. Jericho says Blood and Guts will be a violent lesson for the Pinnacle, and says they'll have a parlay with the Pinnacle next week, which is where the two and it's a war thing, another war thing, like it's
a way to get them together and talk, basically,
because they had like the Inner Circle War Council or whatever.
Yes.
But I don't care because that will be awesome. Jericho says they own the Pinnacle's ass.
Right.
Thoughts?
Hager was really bad. Wardlow outperformed him. Santana was my favorite part of this. I thought he did a good job.
I wish Ortiz got to talk.
And I thought Jericho was wrong about the things he says about MJF's promo style, right? Because he was trying to say the opposite of what we just said, that he doesn't sound natural and it sounds forced and whatever, which I don't agree with. I didn't think Jericho was very good here, if I'm being honest. He didn't seem as prepared as MJF did in his part. I felt like he was rambling a little bit. The singing was really dumb. MJF felt way more focused and on point. I was a little disappointed. This was the weakest segment of the show to this point. I had pretty much really liked or loved everything in the first hour. This was the first thing that I really didn't think was great.
I think based on the next segment, this won't be the weakest.
Part of my issue is I'm still not completely sold on these guys as baby faces. Like, I know Jericho's pandering to the crowd and whatnot, but other than that, like, I'm still remembering how they were not long ago, right? So
right.
I just think it hasn't fully taken for me, and I do not think this was one of Jericho's best
This
promos.
is fine, but I agree, kind of like wasn't really focused. I think it, especially if you compare it to his promo last week,
and
which is good.
Yes, and compared to MJF this week, like, does not compare.
Right. Santana was good. Hager was not. But I'm looking forward to Blood and Guts still.
Oh, for sure.
And I think next week's segment is going to be the stuff of legend.
And normally Jericho's super entertaining.
Right.
This was
so
just
I think we
blip,
can give him a pass.
Yeah. I didn't like it, but it's not like
So that's the weakest segment so far, but I think it'll be outdone as we have Billy Gunn versus QT Marshall.
We sure do.
Gunn got his full name back. I don't care.
Yeah, he does.
Gunn attacks the factory during the entrance. Match starts. Corner punches by Gunn. Hammer throw by Gunn. Running elbow sends QT off the apron. Gunn sends QT into the apron and barricade multiple times. Tilt-a-whirl slam by Gunn after QT ducks multiple shots. QT sent into the barricade again. As you can see, great variety by Billy Gunn.
Yes.
The young up-and-comer. Sneak attack by the factory, and then the Gunn Club attacks Solo and Komoroto and take them away. Gunn no-sells crossface shots from QT.
He does.
That's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
QT, it's a pile driver. I thought Gunn was just going to spring up, honestly.
My next note is, this match is too long. In the middle of my notes. That's not a good sign.
For a 2 count there. Punches by Gunn, backdrop by Gunn. QT avoids a famous turn, but Gunn also avoids the diamond cutter. Ogogo comes out and stomach punches Gunn, and punches magically are deadly now.
So it's funny, at this point I had just talked about...
We just saw Gunn hit punches, and we just saw him no-sell hits from QT.
We just saw Gunn take 3 haymakers to the head from QT and not go down. But
we saw QT take punches, and he was still fine. It's not that they didn't take damage, it's that like these ones are now deadly.
And this is why I'm saying it's hard to get over a punch, especially a body shot, when you've created a culture
when they're
of
fine with headshots.
Punches don't hurt in wrestling.
Or they don't they're not devastating
so
at all.
I have and it's weird because I always listen to stuff reviewing this after we're done ours, so I don't get any sort of don't get confused by their ideas, but a lot of people loved Ogogo and that being his finisher. And I'm just like,
What?
this is a world where punches, like, people haul off and deck people in the face as hard as they can and it does nothing. So anyways, yeah, that's what he's going
then
with,
the
the body
diamond cutter,
punch.
QT gets the win. Ogogo hands QT a wooden chair for some reason. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think because of the effect when it gets used, it looks cool, I guess.
Right. And Dustin Rhodes makes a save and attacks. Ogogo literally does nothing as QT's getting his ass handed to him by Dustin Rhodes.
True.
Ogogo gets up to the apron now and rolls up his sleeves. But Komoroto attacks and Rhodes hits him over the head with the wooden chair, which is absolutely blatantly no-sold. Just literally stands there looking like a freak.
Yep.
Which it was a cool visual, but I'll get to that in a sec. Ref separation and thoughts.
Didn't care for the match or the post-match developments. I like the idea of QT's faction, as I've talked about, but this execution wasn't my favorite. I am, however, intrigued by Komoroto. I found myself paying attention to him at ringside because he's this huge, burly, hairy man with crazy hair, and he was wearing like a big white overcoat and white pants. So I found him quite interesting, and I was paying some attention to him when I was supposed to be watching the match. So I'm intrigued by him. I think he's got a bit of some physical charisma or something going on. But no, I wasn't a fan of this match or the stuff afterwards. What about you?
Match wasn't great, especially compared to the last three. QT and Gunn hit each other many times throughout the match and carried on, but one punch from Ogogo is enough to help win a match for QT. Ogogo looked dumb standing there as QT got his butt handed to him by Dustin Rhodes. When Komoroto no-sold the chair shot, it was a cool visual, but I think, in my opinion, it sets him up kind of weird, similar to the Ogogo punches being devastating. Because when you set Ogogo up as, like, his punches are devastating, then, like, when it's not an immediate match ender, he looks dumb. And then when Komoroto's getting hit with a chair, how does he, how did he lose to Jon Moxley then? And because if wrestling moves harm him, why does a chair shot not harm him? Like, how is he going to sell wrestling moves if he can just power through a chair shot? Like, it does not make sense. Next we get the Elite and the Good Brothers. Yes, I'm still roasting the Good Brothers. They are not elite. Cal says there's never been a better assembly of talent in history. I would beg to differ. You have Luke Gallows in your faction.
You do.
He goes over everyone and says Omega will be the new Impact World Champion. Yeah. Matt says they are the reason for the business going up in Japan, and the reason for AEW. One of those is objectively true, and then the other one is subjective.
Yep.
Like, I'm not saying it's not true, but some people could disagree.
Yep.
They Mox and Kingston are coming back, and Kenny tries to speak, but a car honks, and it's Mox and Kingston. They ram into the trailer. Mox grabs a pipe, smacks a window. They go in, nobody's home, and they call Elite cowards and call them bitch AF, which is a new shirt now.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
I liked the part where Mox and Kingston get involved. Their chemistry between them just entertains me. And the part about
Mox threw the pipe through the window and it almost hit Kingston.
That was funny. And Kingston also wanting to steal the shoes, and Mox like commenting on, like, because they've said before that he's sort of obsessed with shoes and stuff from the 90s, and remember they were wearing those Dior shoes, so he made a line about stealing shoes, and Mox said something about leave people's shoes, like, why is it always about shoes or whatever, which I thought was funny. The part with the Elite in the trailer, it was okay. I didn't love it. And where did they go?
I thought they would be on the roof or something. Like, so is there a back door?
Because it was immediate. They look out the window, they see the truck there, and then the truck drives into the trailer, but they're not in it. But I was confused a little bit.
I figured they have some escape door, but it's still confusing.
Anyways, I didn't love the first part. Once Mox and Kingston got involved, it was a little bit entertaining, but not my favorite.
It got better towards the end, but it was all right overall. Nothing too great.
No.
Speaking of Christian Cage versus Powerhouse Will Hobbs.
Well, Team Taz always dominates, so I assume Christian's taking a loss here, because Team Taz don't lose, man.
Right.
Ever. Oh, wait, they never win. That's right. My mistake.
They definitely didn't lose.
They never win anything ever.
They definitely didn't lose on the show already.
No, and they won't lose this one either.
Cage gets overpowered and thrown out of the ring onto the stage. Cage runs from Hobbs and attacks as Hobbs climbs the apron. There's your babyface. He does the thing where like he runs out of the ring and Hobbs chases him. He goes into the ring and then as Hobbs tries to enter, he attacks.
Yeah,
what
sneak
a
attack.
babyface.
Super facey.
Basement dropkick by Cage. Hobbs shoves Serpenticos in the crowd and he grinds Christian's face in the steel barricade. We're like, why did he remove the
thin cotton layer?
But I guess it's so that he can kind of get
Pull
his
him
face through
yeah,
the. I guess right.
And that we can see it. Him doing that because he could have done the same thing with the cover on.
I guess, yeah. A Beal by Hobbs. Cage gets feet up on a Vader bomb attempt. Punches by Cage. Oh, the match is over.
That's one punch.
Cage wins.
Punches work.
I'm just kidding. Pendulum kick and a middle rope diving uppercut.
Yeah.
I did not put a T on the end. Uppercut by Cage. Big spinebuster by Hobbs for 2. Cage avoids a superplex, slips through to hit a power bomb. Frog splash for 2 by Cage. Big body tackle by Hobbs. A sleeper attempt by Cage. Hobbs gets Cage in a power slam position, rams him in the corner. Cage then gets out, though, and hits the kill switch for the win. Christian Cage wins. I'm just going to say mine because it was quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
This was fun. Still don't like Christian.
Yeah, Hobbs was showboating, right? And then gets hit with the kill switch. Fine match, I guess. I didn't love it, if I'm being honest. I'm not super interested in Cage so far.
Wow, he could barely outwork a big man. I don't even think he outworked him. I think he beat him. I don't think that's the same thing.
No. And Team Taz does nothing but lose constantly, so this was again an expected outcome.
They're literally loser factions, unfortunately.
Hobbs is definitely a powerhouse, but I wasn't super impressed by him in this match. I just thought this was like okay.
This
fine.
Is like a dark elevation match, I think.
Maybe, but I wasn't impressed. There's a bit of a lull in the show up here at this point, I thought.
Penta L0M versus Orange Cassidy next week. Whoop whoop. Chris Statlander versus Penelope Ford next week. Probably whoop whoop.
Maybe, yeah.
Young Bucks versus Seidels next week. Seidels aren't bad per se, so I mean, I'm down. I think this is a tag team title eliminator match, so
right.
If the Seidels win, Seidels in
Sorry,
another.
did you say if the Seidels win?
Hey, Seidel, he did pretty good in the last eliminator match he had.
I guess, yeah.
So
he did. He looked good in that.
So I'm
but did he win? Remind me, did
no,
he win? Oh,
but
right.
I'm gonna give that a chance.
Has he ever won in AEW?
On Dynamite. On Dynamite, no.
No. Okay.
I'm gonna give that a chance though, because the last one was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved that match.
Me too.
Nightmare Family, which is Dustin Rhodes, Billy Gunn, and Lee Johnson, all-star team right there. Versus The Factory, which is QT, Komoroto, and Solo, which is probably a smart choice.
That is a lower level feud, it feels like to me.
I feel like I would not put Ogogo in this match, which is smart, because that's not what they did.
Give me some Komoroto.
Yep, he's in.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron Solo looks cool.
Yeah, he might be alright too. I've seen him wrestle. That's Bailey's ex something, I think, right?
Yeah. X something.
Whatever.
Burn. Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. The parlay next week. So I think Blood and Guts is in 2 weeks.
Nice.
The date. I wonder if they'll do a special episode of NXT. You know why? Because Dynamite is on Wednesday, right? Which is May 5th.
Right. You want a Star Wars one?
Yeah, Star Wars NXT, huh?
Maybe.
May 4th, huh?
Shayna Baszler in a Star Wars shirt made your day, didn't it? I showed him that today.
And then Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Cage next week. Oh
nice.
Yeah, I'm rhyming. That's yes.
Yep.
Very much yes. Jade Cargill, no. She says many managers are interested. Sure. She says they will need a hell of a deal to get her, and she is her own boss.
Yep. Basically, if you want her, you got to show her money because she doesn't need a manager. So she's going to have one. It's going to be because she's making a ton of money.
By definition, she is not her own boss because she is employed by AEW. So
independent contractors. I don't think that's AEW style, but I thought this was a solid promo, and basically she just continues to do a good job of whatever they give her. I think.
Yeah, it's fine.
They haven't asked her to do too much, and she's delivered every time they ask her to do something. So that's all you can ask for.
We get our main event, which is Jungle Boy versus Darby Allin,
which I was looking forward to for sure.
TNT Championship
with Sting. Why don't you mention him? He's there. He's integral to Darby Allin's success. How dare you? How dare you?
In Jungle Boy's corner, the big fearsome dinosaur known as Luchasaurus, and then in Darby Allin's corner, Old Man Goth.
Yes, Grandpa in face paint.
Grandpa Goth. Goth Grandpa. Darby has some really cool paint on. He's got like a
Yeah,
His
it was
face
a little
paint got like skulls,
different.
kind of like a black circle, kind of like it makes it look like more like looks like a more realistic skeleton,
It did.
kind of, and he's also kind of got body paint. It looked really good.
Yep.
Holds encounters and some pins, whatever, to start.
Yeah.
Springboard arm drag by Darby Allin, ground and pound by Darby. Chops on the outside by Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy tackles Allin, sending them both over the barricade.
Rough landing for Jungle Boy here.
Mm-hmm. German suplex for 2 by Jungle Boy. And he holds on and then hits a tiger suplex for 2, which is the
Cool.
Double chicken wing.
Yeah. Double underhook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pop over stunner by Darby for 2, staple of his moveset. Corner what they called coffin splashes by Darby, which I didn't know what to call them, so that was very helpful. He kind of like runs in the corner. And...
Makes sense, right? I didn't know it was called that either, but that makes sense.
It's in the stinger splash.
Yep. It's his twist on the Stingers.
God damn it.
Offense.
Damn it.
See, the mentoring is just working out well for Darby. Couldn't have done that.
Darby rolls out of the ring after a body scissor Rana thingy. I've seen this done. It's like,
weird.
because like, it's like, what it was supposed to be is I'm showing you right now. It's kind of like he gets his feet and it's like,
yeah.
You could use, I've seen it used as like a pin before.
It's like a reverse Rana, but instead of around their head, it's under the armpits.
Right, and it's in Chad Gable's moveset in 2K19. It's like, it's called prawn hold. It's like he does that and then he kind of like
a shrimp.
Like he does that and then he kind of like bridges over for.
It
a
looked
pin.
cool, I thought.
Yeah.
I watched it twice. I rewound it to check it out again.
2 suicide dives and a tope con hilo by Jungle Boy.
Nice.
Guillotine over the rope by Darby to take control, kind of like just to wear him out a bit, and then he chokes him on the bottom rope with his foot.
Yep.
Darby does. Coffin drop onto the apron by Darby, which he didn't get all of it.
It looked pretty cool still.
Jungle Boy barely avoids the 10 count. Sting attacks Luchasaurus, and they tussle.
Tussle
as
is the word.
As they go through the tunnel.
It
was so funny.
I feel like they start tussling, and I think it looked like they thought they were already like really close to being off stage.
Right.
And they realized, oh crap, we still have another like 10 feet to go, and then they just sort of
and then just keep going.
Did not look good.
It was odd, and also I don't like Luchasaurus getting beat up by freaking Sting.
Fair enough.
That's just stupid. Clothesline and a brainbuster followed by a sliding elbow to the back of the head by Jungle Boy. Great sequence for a 2 count. Snare trap gets locked in, but Darby Allin gets a rope break. A surfboard hold by Jungle Boy. Gets a snare trap again. Darby rolls through a sunset flip pin later on and gets a roll-up pin that Excalibur called the Last Supper for the win.
He's used it before, right? It's cool looking.
I don't know, but he has. Oh, he has?
Yeah,
okay.
At least once.
Darby Allin retains. I'll cover the aftermath quick. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page attack, and I was really hoping for a tag match, this kind of tag match. Anyways, Ego's Edge to Darby, which I think is a good name for it.
Yeah, it's like
Razor's Edge.
But he like kind of chucks him even further.
Right, he chucks him. It's like a border toss.
Yeah. Yes, there you go.
Yeah. Sky tries to get the ankle lock or whatever it is, because remember he did that after his match. But Lance Archer attacks, so he went from turning heel again to Sting said something nice to him, so now he's a babyface again.
Here comes all our people in after the match again, too, right?
Well, this one makes a little more sense. Archer does not make sense.
I'm
Sky
not saying
and Page
some of them
make
don't
sense.
make sense. It's just
Sky and Page make sense. Double low blow to Archer, but Sting chases away the heels, and oh my god, it's Sting! Run for your lives!
He has a bat, man. What can you do? That bat has the power of 10 men at least.
Right. It's like you're saying one of Walter's strikes is worth 10 of yours.
Yes.
One of Sting's bat hits is worth 25 of yours.
Absolutely.
Thoughts?
Really strong main event. Jungle Boy, I thought, looked amazing here. He got to showcase a ton of offense. Allin does what he always does, right? Which is take a beating. But I thought even he showed a bit more edge here because there was a couple of shortcuts taken, like gouging faces and stuff like that.
And it's almost like not because he wanted to, but because he had to.
I agree. I really enjoyed the main event.
It kind of made Darby work a different style because he's usually facing guys like Cody and Brian Cage, who are like bigger or not even like that much bigger, but like
they just can manhandle him, right? And Jungle Boy doesn't have that option. Question: who
else does he face?
Because I think Jungle Boy is looking awesome lately. Do you think he needs to adjust or change his character if he's going to get to the top of the card? Like, can he be Jungle Boy in that outfit and be a main eventer?
I think it's possible.
You do? I I think he needs to change.
I think in AEW it's possible.
But I've
sure.
already come around because I thought the gimmick was ridiculous to begin with, and now he's won me over because I didn't know the guy was this good. I thought it was like, oh, it's Luke Perry's kid. They want some star power, some name, but they don't even mention that anymore, which I appreciate.
Right, I think there's potential, and even if he's not main eventer, I think he'll be great in the TNT division.
He's impresses me every time I see him. I thought he looked awesome here. I really liked the main event.
Or him and Luchasaurus have great future as a tag team.
Yep. So I thought really good main event. What about you?
Mm-hmm. Great match. Both of these guys are good, and similarly sized opponent creates a different match for Darby because he's usually used to. He's usually faced guys like Brian Cage and Cody. Even John Silver, who's smaller, he's also pretty strong, so he still played kind of the powerhouse role. Right? And Jungle Boy had some good sequences, I thought, and I love when Darby pulls out some new roll-up, because they look unique and like the extra work. Even if he's used this, I think he usually tends to have some pretty unique ones, and like he's used like an avalanche crucifix bomb to beat Cage. He used like that mouse trap one.
Yep.
It
looks like it would work, right?
Right. They look unique and practical as well.
I agree.
A great match. I like Darby wanting to be a fighting champion because he's great, and then we get more matches like this. Oh, that's right. He's also faced Scorpio Sky.
Right.
If we could get a Darby and Jungle Boy versus Page and Sky tag match, that'd be great because I think they're all great.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the show?
Loved the first hour of this show, and I was at that point. I was like, this is easily on pace for an A. But then we got a bit of a lull with the Inner Circle segment I didn't love. Then that was, as you pointed out, the QT Billy Gunn match, the Hobbs Christian match. So for me, it picked back up. The Jade Cargill promo was fine, and after that, it was good again. The main event closed the show on a positive note. So for me, this is like the quintessential, I think, B+, right? Like, if a couple segments in the middle were a bit better, then I'm in the A range. But that lull after the first hour... so this is like a perfect B+ for me.
We did not rehearse this.
Paige
versus Starks, Trent versus Penta, and Conti versus Shida were all pretty sweet.
Yep.
Like you said, first hour was great. Miro was also great.
Yep.
As was MJF, the pinnacle, but let's face it, MJF and Wardlow basically.
Yep.
Inner Circle interview was decent, nothing like super bad. I'm excited for Blood and Guts.
Me too.
QT, Gunn, and Cage Hobbs kind of slowed down the show in my opinion, and they were pretty lame compared to the other matches. And they were like standard Christian match, and the other match is not this whatever. Cargill was fine. The main event was also great. So overall strong show. I'd give it a B+ as well. I think it was inching towards an A-.
It was close, right?
Yeah, it was pretty close.
If even one of those things in the middle, there was like
the problem was there was like, thing was better, maybe, right? Like,
and they usually are.
Because I don't think you can make QT versus Billy Gunn better.
Of those 3 things in a row I didn't like, if one of them I liked, then yeah, I'd go A- probably. All right.
Great show.
Yeah, excellent. Let's now transition into our next segment, which is where we're going to talk about a bit of Impact, a match of Jack's choosing, and anything else that comes up.
Right.
And that is our Any Other Wrestling Business.
All right. So I'm going to cover my match, then I have a little tidbit from SmackDown, and then you're going to go Impact, and then I have a preview set up for Rebellion.
Yes, and anybody that tunes in, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of you that tune in for my ROH review. So of the thousands and thousands, I mean 1 or 2 probably. If you missed it, ROH,
maybe 5.
I did talk about, because I don't think we did it on take 2, because I rushed through the banter.
Yeah.
I did an ROH 500th episode. I reviewed a solo mission earlier in the week, so you can find that.
This does feel like a better spot to mention
wherever
though,
you went.
Usually here,
wherever you went to listen to this, that is already up there, so you can check that out. I talked about the 500th episode, which I didn't love, but I still talked about it for about 20 minutes, so that is available. It won't be on this podcast today.
All right. So the match I chose is another one that I very much love.
More nostalgia for you.
Yes, even though it's like 3 years old.
Yeah, but when you're 13, 3 years is a lot. It's like a quarter of your life almost, you know?
But I just remember this being really good. It's some NXT goodness. Pro Wrestling Rewind number 9. We got Adam Cole versus Ricochet versus Lars Sullivan versus Killian Dane versus Velveteen Dream versus EC3, which is the 6-man ladder match to crown the first ever NXT North American champion from NXT TakeOver New Orleans 2018.
So I do want to say there are a couple competitors in here who have, excuse me, pretty much revealed themselves to be dirtbags. So I don't what I'm gonna do is
Velveteen Dream, right?
and Lars Sullivan.
Well, yeah, I knew Lars Sullivan.
I'm just gonna talk about them as their performances in this match. Please don't think that this is an endorsement of them as human beings. But I find, because I do listen to some podcasts where they won't talk about some of the people.
I used to like Dream, so I want to see those allegations proven.
But there's some podcasts that won't even talk about the guys that have been named in things. But for me, that's a slippery slope, because then at some point I've got to hold athletes to that, actors to that. Like, there's dirtbags in every profession, in every
it's like you
walk
should
of
kind
life.
of expect it. And
so I'm aware that these are not great people, but I'm simply going to be talking about them as wrestlers and their performances within this match, just to make that clear.
So EC3 immediately goes out of the ring. So Dream and Cole team up on Ricochet. There's a brawl on the outside. Dane and Sullivan clear everyone. They face off. And Ricochet's first move is a running springboard shooting star press onto the two big men.
Yep, just jump right up onto the top turnbuckle and
do
flip
a big flippy doodad onto two big people.
Yep.
That is Ricochet's first move in WWE ever on TV.
As this match got going, I was very glad I wasn't the one doing detailed notes, because this is just an absolute
It did help that I remember this very much.
Yep.
A head scissor takedown, dropkick by Ricochet. It's kind of his comeback sequence, literally, because that's his comeback sequence in the game.
Right.
So yeah, but to Dream cuts off a springboard attempt though, and Insecurity to Dane by Cole. I made sure to note like who did what to who, just so that it's like clear,
Yeah.
Right. Ushigoroshi to Dream by Cole. Inverted stunner by EC3 to Cole. It's kind of like if he had him in a flatliner position, but then hit a stunner.
Right. It looked cool.
Mm-hmm. A stinger splash by EC3. Of course, he had to call it that. Clothesline to EC3 by Lars Sullivan. Pop-up power slam to Cole by Sullivan.
And just before this, you wanted me to make a note of there was a bit of Dream versus ladder in the corner.
Right.
He was trying to do something with the ladder while
Dream
Ricochet
had really
was
cool
waiting
gear,
for him.
which he has had. It had everyone it had like a purple, green, yellow color, because obviously New Orleans, WrestleMania the next night. He had like everyone's faces on his tights, with sunglasses on. Like
he has those cool airbrushed like Rick Rude kind of style.
Right, like he
tights.
had Hogan or Hollywood ones, remember? And he's like, it's like Call Me Up Vince or whatever. And he had the Prince Puma ones when he faced Ricochet. Like he said a bunch of good ones. He was always one of those guys.
Yep.
Where am I? Oh yeah, and then so Killian Dane, the big hairy Albert Pale. He's like Sheamus and Albert combined, because he's Sheamus Pale, he's Albert hairy.
Yep.
He hits a suicide dive to Sullivan, and when he lands, it looks like they're kind of hugging each other.
Yeah, it's a big man to be doing a suicide dive.
Yeah, that's probably why he did it on Sullivan, because he's also big, so he can catch him probably better. Clotheslines to Ricochet and Dream by Dane. Dream and Ricochet tee off, as do Dane and Cole. EC3 also joins the fight, and that's because Sullivan chucks a ladder at everybody.
He does.
Next, he takes out everyone with ladder attacks. He kind of like hits them. He like
puts it on his head.
Does that. Yeah. He does like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I just had Lars kills everyone with the ladder.
Dane gets sent into a ladder I think the same ladder that has been propped in the corner. A Sullivan Gorilla presses Dream onto another ladder that's just flat on the mat. Dream's pretty good at selling, I must say.
Yep.
Even when he's not taking offense, just like his battle damage, so to speak, he sells pretty good. Sullivan begins the climb. Ricochet climbs up, attempts a sunset flip, which almost caused the ladder to tip. I saw someone like kind of keep it over,
grab the ladder.
He kind of had to do, right?
Of course, yeah. Keep it safe as you can.
EC3 and Dream trying to assist to pull him down, and then Cole climbs the ladder and hits him, and then he goes down, which is pretty cool. And he kind of like looks up, he's like, and then the crowd's just like going bananas, like because he's like right there.
Yep.
But Dane pulls him down, and attacks him. Ricochet gets backed up onto the corner ladder by Dane, which is just bananas.
So many things that could have injured people in this match. It was crazy.
Remember in the 4-way tag ladder match, and O'Reilly just like took a beating, like he had like those marks on his ladder, or on his back. Yeah. Because like the ladder fell on him, or like he just took a beating in that match. And I think he said like EC3 took a pretty good beating.
EC3
as did Ricochet.
took a beating in this match. Yes.
Yeah. Cole and EC3 form an alliance, they attack Sullivan. The next target, Dane on the outside. They set up a ladder bridge between the apron and the announce table, and Irish whip him face first into the ladder bridge. EC3 does an EC3 BABA taunt, which is very disrespectful. Ushi kind of on the ladder by Cole, which is cool. And then a super kick party from Cole. He super kicks Sullivan, who's wedged between the ladder and the corner. He gets one to EC3, Dream, Dane, everybody.
And then the big one.
He catches a springboard by Ricochet with a super kick. Adam Cole, baby.
Looked good.
That's one of my favorite parts. I remember that fondly. Yep. Cole starts to climb the ladder. Sullivan pushes the ladder over. A purple Rainmaker by Dream to Dane. Purple Rainmaker to Cole. Purple Rainmaker to the back of Ricochet. Sullivan sandwiches Dream in the corner with the ladder. Sullivan runs at him, but gets the ladder shoved in his face. Purple Rainmaker to Sullivan from the very top of the ladder, like the
very
top
tall
part.
ladder, and he nailed it beautifully.
It was awesome. EC3 stops Dream from climbing and powerbombs him onto that corner ladder, which looked good as well.
Yeah.
Dream took some pretty good spots as well. A cravat driver to Sullivan by EC3. An avalanche TKO from the ladder by EC3 to Cole,
cool.
which was sold beautifully by Cole. A pump kick to EC3 by Dane. Cole stops Dane's climb. Dane takes down EC3 and places a ladder on him and hits a senton. Dane sets up for a Vader bomb with EC3 still under the ladder.
Yeah.
Cole tries to stop him, and then Dane hits the Vader bomb to EC3 with the ladder on him while Cole is on his back.
Right,
which
so that's
was pretty bananas.
600 pounds or whatever coming down onto a ladder onto EC3. Pretty nuts.
Pump kicks to Dane and Sullivan by Ricochet, and then Ricochet gets bealed by Sullivan and then Dane. So that's just great.
Yeah, from corner to corner, basically.
Right,
back and
that's
forth.
a situation you want to be in.
Yeah.
Back and forth between Dane and Sullivan. Sullivan catches the divide crossbody and hits a slam to Dane.
Which is pretty impressive, because Dane moves really quickly on that divide, and he just got caught.
I think Mauro Ranallo even made the point that no one's done that before.
Right, and Mauro is in full gear in this one, because there's a lot for him to get excited about in this match, so he's great.
This is why I love him.
Yep, he's good.
Ricochet stops Sullivan from grabbing the title. Sullivan pushes over the ladder, but Ricochet hits a moonsault off of the ladder as
that's
he's being
normal.
tipped over. Right.
Like the ladder's falling.
Picture the ladder being like kind of tipped over like this way, right? And then you just like moonsaults as he's being pushed off onto the pile. Classic Ricochet though.
Yep.
EC3 gets placed on a ladder this time, not under it, and a shooting star press on the ladder by Ricochet as if it's nothing.
Right.
Dream and Ricochet then brawl, and Dream sets up a ladder bridge between the corner and a ladder that's set up in the ring.
A lot of ladder bridges coming up in this stretch.
Yeah, but
no, I have no problem with it.
Yeah,
it just happens.
Dream Valley Driver on the ladder bridge by Dream, which looked insane.
And it was really close to, I thought, Dream hurting himself, because his leg almost, because when he does it, he kind of flips and usually stands up, right? But he's doing it on a ladder,
really do it here.
And he almost caught his leg between the rungs, and then it would have been really awkward. But it looked cool, and everyone was okay.
Body tack on the outside to Dream by Sullivan. Dream is placed on the ladder bridge on the outside, and Sullivan hits a freak accident onto Dream.
Ridiculous.
He hits a freak accident to EC3 onto Dream through the ladder bridge. Right. So Dream's lying on the ladder bridge, and he hits a freak accident to EC3 to put them both through the ladder.
From the apron through a ladder through another guy. Pretty crazy.
Right. Dane places Ricochet on another ladder bridge, and he hits some driver thingy.
That's all I said. Michinoku maybe driver? Question mark.
Some sort of driver to Cole.
Onto Ricochet.
And he kind of sits on Ricochet through another ladder. So
crazy.
That was pretty sweet. Dane and Sullivan battle atop a ladder. EC3 sets up another ladder and fights Cole, who climbs up. Dream sets up another ladder and battles Ricochet, who climbs up. EC3 hits a move on Cole, which was unclear because we didn't really see all of it.
No, the camera didn't quite catch
an avalanche neckbreaker by Ricochet to Dream, and Ricochet just has a great facial expression, I thought, afterwards.
Yes, he's sold it awesome.
Avalanche freak accident by Sullivan to Dane, which is like, Mauro's like, why didn't they go through the ring?
Like 700 pounds a man.
That is a ring spot that you would expect. If it was any normal match, I think just because they had more stuff to do.
And they didn't need it here. And they that ring, they need to use it still,
Right. Especially because this is the opener, right? So if they had done that,
what a hot opener.
Ricochet leaps onto Sullivan's back, which is when he just like springboards. I mean, and he takes them both down in the ladder. And then Cole tips ladders. Ricochet climbs. He goes over the top rope, and Adam Cole wins, which I remember predicting, and just because I liked him, and I was so happy I was right.
Yeah, this fantastic match. Not a technical display, if that's what you're looking for.
But this is the classic NXT insanity.
An absolute car crash with everybody involved getting a chance to showcase themselves. Ricochet was probably the biggest star in this match. considering it's his debut, and just some of the stuff he does is unbelievable. But honestly, everybody looked awesome. Lars had some crazy spots. EC3 took a ton of a beating, but he had some cool stuff as well. And it was just, as a side note, really nice to see him in an enjoyable character. This 1%er character I thought was perfect for him. And the thing he used to be doing in TNA where he was...
Which is pretty similar.
Very similar. Dixie Carter's nephew, I thought was very... He's believable as like a wealthy, entitled person, right? Not, as I said, playing sort of Raven 2.0 is not... Anyways, really long match, but only one brief spot in the middle did I note that there wasn't much going on. Incredibly fun to watch, but at some point you start to fear for people's safety because there's so many like people going through ladders and things. Massive respect for everyone involved in this, regardless of whether or not they may be a dirtbag
as
or not.
Performers.
Yes. For being able and willing to do all of this to their bodies for fans. I gave this match an A. My only criticism, it could have been a bit shorter, but just honestly, just a car crash of a match for however long it is. It's just non-stop action with breathtaking stuff by Ricochet thrown in, and just people willing to put their bodies on the line to entertain a crowd who really did appreciate it. Terrific match. I know you loved it, so go ahead.
Yeah, I also love this match. This is how you do a multi-man ladder match, and this is why I love them. It's just like, there's always going to be some insane stuff. I think there's more people to stop other people from climbing. Like, it just, that kind of works better. The dynamic of a ladder match works better with more people. 6 people is like, I think, a solid amount. There were some crazy dives and high risk spots courtesy of Ricochet and Dream, because he did do that elbow drop, and Sullivan and Dane had provided cool power moves. Cole and EC3 were great as well. I think everyone had their moments here. Most notably, the ladder bridge double spots were pretty sweet.
Yep.
There was a ton of action. I even felt when they let up on all the spots a bit, I was never really bored.
Never.
Cole's super kick tirade was great, and the Purple Rainmaker Parade was also fun. The selling from Dream and Cole was also great.
Ricochet as well, I thought.
Right, Ricochet. Just great stuff all around. An NXT classic, in my opinion. Not really complaining about the result either.
No. Right person won, I think, at that time.
Yeah, all around a great match. And I'd give that an A as well.
Yeah,
I'd love that match.
If you haven't seen it, people, and you don't mind just a violent match where people are risking their lives for 40 minutes or whatever it was, maybe longer.
Yeah, it was great.
Terrific match.
Right. The only tidbit I got from SmackDown, probably the most important one, is Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan are gonna have another Universal title match next week. But if Bryan loses, he has to leave SmackDown. So maybe this will transition him to Raw or NXT.
AEW, maybe. Remember, I just was reading a thing that his dream is to be able to work for WWE and still go other places. If anyone's going to get that kind of deal, it might be him, because they love him and they love Brie, right? So
I know you don't like the main roster guys coming to NXT, but I feel like he would be cool because he's awesome and he would probably put people over.
He would. He would be awesome.
And I think he would be one of those main roster people I would be okay with going to NXT.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be some very interesting, fresh matchups.
Right, and he, like I said, he'd be willing to put people over. He's kind of already doing that on the main roster, so I think in NXT that'd be even cooler.
Yeah.
And technically, he's an NXT original.
That is true. He does have a history in NXT.
Like,
he was the Miz's protege, which is the most ridiculous thing.
In season 1.
Yeah. When he'd been wrestling for like 10 times longer than Miz at that point.
Right.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and Miz isn't a good wrestler, and Daniel Bryan
was
considered
probably
the best wrestler in the world at that point, basically.
I never thought about that.
All right, should I talk about some Impact?
Yep.
Okay, Impact Wrestling this week. Did you know that Rich Swann and Kenny Omega are going to face off in a match?
Because I had no idea until you just mentioned it.
Be prepared to be reminded.
Oh, I would love to, because
many times.
I had no idea about this match. Perchance, is there any interesting commentators?
We'll see, because they're going to talk about that match a lot on this show. Not to spoil this, but here we go. So the show starts with a recap of the press conference, combined with some hype
one right there
for the upcoming Rebellion pay-per-view main event that is tomorrow night. Decay make their entrance as the show opens, and we get Decay, which is going to be Black Taurus and Crazy Steve versus the Good Brothers.
Yeah, and then you get to hear your favorite song ever.
I do, and it is the best theme song ever. It is the worst thing. Oh my goodness. Good Brothers theme. If you haven't heard it, don't bother. Decay are in control of Anderson early with frequent tags and double teams.
Love that.
Gallows eventually tags in, levels Black Taurus with a roundhouse head kick, one of the moves. One of the few moves Gallows does that still looks pretty good, I think. Taurus is then Irish whipped into the corner at one point, impressively runs up the ropes and hits a twisting crossbody to Gallows. I actually showed you that little spot because Taurus is a big dude and he just runs up the ropes and flips off them, no problem. Crazy Steve hits a flurry, ending in a sliding flatliner to Anderson for 2. Gallows ends up catching Steve jumping off the ropes to stop his momentum, and it's transitioned immediately into a magic killer for a Good Brothers win. Anderson cuts a promo after...
Taurus lost to them again. Aren't you happy?
Anderson cuts a promo after the match about how great their 2020 was, and maybe they got a bit too comfortable and too cocky, you think? He thanks Finn Juice for waking them up, and now all that matters is reclaiming the tag team championships.
Are we getting woken Good Brothers?
Gallows tries to say some stuff with energy, and he hopes that Finn Juice have kept the belts shiny for them.
Why wouldn't the belts be shiny? Can I just ask?
A decent 5-minute match where Decay actually got some time on offense. A generic promo afterwards by the Good Brothers. And it's too bad Decay's kind of stuck in this role, right? They just don't seem like they're ever going to pick up many meaningful wins on this show. So 5-minute match, which is pretty long by today's standards, unfortunately, for Impact Wrestling. Striker then hypes a bunch of upcoming Impact stuff that I don't care about enough to take detailed notes on, and a preview of some matches tonight and at Rebellion as well. We then get a Rich Swann versus Kenny Omega hype package. Shocking.
Woohoo!
And this is where one of many where the Impact roster give their predictions for the Omega and Swann match. I'm not going to go through each person gives their predictions. Basically, the Impact roster pick Rich Swann out of home team solidarity, I guess. James Storm talked about Swann is going into the match as the underdog, and he's picking the underdog to win. We then get a Violent by Design promo aired where Eric Young is talking about their upcoming match at Rebellion in an 8-person tag match. It then cuts to James Storm giving his thoughts on the match. Both of them talk about how their team's going to win on Sunday. It was a decent package that got quite a bit of time here, but it doesn't quite feel like the epic bitter feud they want it to. And I'm wondering how they're going to cover for Eric Young's injury because he's like torn his ACL, I think, at this point. So I was wondering if they're going to sort of cover that somehow or replace him in the match, but we'll see. We then get Susan with Deonna Purrazzo versus Tenille with Caleb. Susan seems to be arguing with Deonna as they make their entrance to the ring for some reason. I don't know if that's foreshadowing something. I just thought I would make a note of it. We get an early head scissors on the mat by Tenille leading to an eventual noogie, obviously, because that's part of anyone's good offense.
Is it called the Dash Woogie or whatever?
Dash Woogie, yep.
That's just great.
Purrazzo trips Tenille and Susan takes control of the match. Mid-match, Susan takes her phone out and starts filming and taking pictures of Caleb and Tenille. I was wondering if this was like, because her Susan gimmick's kind of like she's a Karen. So a lot of these videos I see where people are videotaping a Karen complaining about the Karen turns their phone. I'm going to record it too, right? So I think that's maybe what Susan was doing here. We get an awkward double underhook suplex into the corner by Tenille. Kind of shorted her. Didn't quite get to the corner. Followed by her diving crossbody, which I think does look cool for a 2 count. Neckbreaker through the ropes by Dashwood after Susan awkwardly puts herself in position. It did not look good. She sort of sets herself up to take this. Then an immediate spotlight kick, and Tenille wins in guess how many minutes?
4.
4 minutes, exactly.
Oh, let's go!
Standard Impact match. Tenille speaks after the match to Purrazzo, and she has a photo shoot planned for after she takes the title from Deonna at Rebellion. This wasn't great, but it was only 4 minutes. But even in that 4 minutes, there's a little bit of sloppiness. The promo afterwards was pretty standard, but fine, I guess. We then get Brian Myers cutting a promo backstage. He talks about how he has evolved as a wrestler while Cardona is living in the past. Very true. He's stuck from past successes of an old YouTube show. So,
burn.
Yeah. So Myers talks about coming out of Rebellion with the win against Cardona. He ended the promo by saying that Cardona is going to witness on Sunday is another roster cut. I actually like this. He cuts a really good heel promo here. The only issue is I completely agree with him. Cardona does need to get rid of this Zack Ryder character. And again, I say it every week. I know it's his brand. And at this point, I don't think he can change it because a lot of his merch and stuff is tied into that whole look and character. But it's lame at this point. So I agree with Myers. He took some pretty accurate shots at Cardona. And the walkaway line about the roster cut I thought was pretty good, actually. More Impact roster members give their thoughts on Omega Swan, and most of them are still predicting that Swan will win. I think Gallows and Anderson were the only ones here, obviously supporting their Bullet Club teammate. And this is immediately followed by another video hyping the match. And we're still early in this show, so get ready for more of this. These are fine, and I guess they're kind of add to the big fight feel. But, I mean, they better deliver because they're hyping this match like they're crazy. So this match better be fantastic.
It should. It's Omega.
The show cut then to Sami Callihan sort of promo. And again, they're doing sort of the hacker stuff, which I wish they would ditch. But anyways, he says that he offered Trey a chance to help him to take over the company. Callahan said he's going to teach Trey a lesson on Sunday when Trey gets in the ring with the Death Machine. Callahan says after Sunday, Trey won't be able to walk. And then he ends his promo with the thumbs up, thumbs down. I thought this was another strong promo from Sami. The annoying glitchiness was present, but I think it was a little less, which is helpful because some of his promos have been excellent, but the glitching of the sound in the video because he's this hacker or whatever have been very distracting. So this one was a little bit less so, which I liked. We then get Shira with Rohit versus Jake something. So Shira and Rohit are back together officially, I guess, which I'm happy with. I like them as a tandem. Shira dominates early with clubbing blows and corner offense, body slam and elbow drop by Shira for one. Jake lands 2 punches before Shira takes back over with more of his signature basic offense. Jake gets his boot up and hits a back elbow and a forearm, but can't take Shira off his feet, basically. Clothesline, corner spear, Michinoku driver by Jake, but Rohit has the ref distracted, so he can't make the count. Jake grabs Rohit, but turns right around into a sky high by Shira for the win.
What's that?
It's like I think it's like the super big spine buster thing. Like D'Lo used to do it.
Like the one-handed.
I think so, yeah.
Like Keith Lee.
So this wasn't good.
Or Lashley.
Shira is somehow still super green after years and years of being a professional wrestler. I strongly disagree with Impact's treatment of Jake. I thought they had something and were treating him and pushing him a little bit, putting some attention on him. But now this is 2 weeks in a row that he's basically jobbing out. Not a big fan. So this was not a good match. I think it was like 2 minutes, if I remember correctly. The show then cuts to Trey Miguel hanging out with one of his trainers at the wrestling school that Sami had invaded.
Wouldn't it be funny if he's hanging out with MSK?
A month ago or so. No, not anymore. His trainer's sort of hyping him up a little bit. Trey's yelling and gets angry at what Sami did to him and his students. Trey said he's going to tear Sami's legs off on Sunday, and he isn't doing it for anyone else but Trey. And then we get this kind of... I laughed at it. I wasn't supposed to. It was a Trey Miguel training montage, and I thought it was kind of silly, and it made me laugh, actually. I'm sorry, I still don't believe Trey as this intense, angry guy. He's just not a good actor, and I found the training montage at the end kind of silly. I assume he wins at Rebellion since he lost to Sami on TV in a match I actually liked. I hope that the match is good, and it could be, right? So it's a, what did I say? Last man standing, I think, right?
Yes,
so
that's what
could be a good match, but... Trey and acting don't go well together, I find. Hype package airs for the X Division triple threat match at Rebellion, with each man getting a chance to speak briefly, as well as a bit of a recap of the P.D. Williams Steiner Math promo that I thought was kind of funny last week. It was actually a pretty cool package, and this match, along with the main event, are the highlight of the pay-per-view for me. I really want to see the triple threat and the main event, and we'll talk about that card. It's coming up in a little bit here. Rich Swann makes his way to the ring as Stryker drastically overstates the importance of this match on Sunday. He's doing his hyperbole about whatever it was. It's Stryker, right? So I did notice that there is no dancing or anything with Rich Swann. He's all business today. He brings up the press conference last week, says that Omega claims to be Mr. 7-Star. He talks about the handshake moment where Omega slapped him in the face instead of shaking his hand. He yells and says that if Omega wants to put his hands on him, he should do it now. So Omega and Callis appear, but only on the video screen and not in person, and they start to mock Rich Swann. Callis talks about how after next week, Omega is going to make Access TV proud by being their Impact champion. Omega then talks about being a double world champion already, since he's the AAA and AEW champion, and how
he'd be a triple world
champion. How that justifies what people call his massive ego. Omega says he'll be the champion of 3 companies after Sunday. I agree, he probably will be. Callis and Omega need to buy a new house, after that to contain all the gold he's going to have. Omega says that Sunday is going to be just another step in Kenny Omega's world takeover, and he did his sort of goodnight catchphrase to end the promo.
Right, and it's like we were saying Paige should be Omega. There's no... Rich Swann has no chance.
I don't think so. Moose's entrance theme starts playing. He comes down in wearing a suit, as he has been in this recent character. He tells Swann to calm down, and he's not here to hurt him. Moose said that he's had a lot of time to take in everything that went down at Sacrifice. He agrees that Swann was smart to take advantage of him because he showed sort of his hand a bit too early. Moose congratulates Swann for taking down the wrestling god in Moose. He said Omega is great. But he really showed Swann what pain was all about. Moose said that Moose is bigger, stronger, and faster than Omega. He's more skilled than Omega, but Omega has something that Moose doesn't, and that's the Three Stooges of Gallows, Anderson, and Callis. Moose said he's wishing Swann good luck on Sunday, and that his final piece of advice is not to lose both the TNA and Impact title. Swann says Moose has nothing to worry about because he's coming out of Sunday as the champion. Swann says he's not going to have any issue with pinning Moose again down the road if he needs to. His Swann's theme then plays to close the segment. I thought Swann was okay, trying to be angry intense. Omega and Callis were great as usual. I like the inclusion of Moose. I still enjoy his really deliberate heel delivery for promos. Like, he really takes his time when he speaks, and I like it. He should be next in line. And I think he could possibly be the one to defeat Omega to bring back the title, even though they're both heels. I think Moose is like the most believable to me that could actually take the belts from Omega somehow. It still might not even be clean, but I don't know. So guess what? We now get more of the Impact roster. Willie Mack and Perazo, I think maybe just them, talking about the Swann Omega match. Did you know there's a Swann Omega match happening?
I did not until now.
And they both pick Swann, obviously. Then after that, we get a quick promo video for Swann versus Omega. I didn't know. Did you know there's a Swann versus Omega?
I did not until now.
Then we get a Taylor Wilde brief highlight video with her saying "Let's get wild" at the end. It wasn't really anything.
Let's not.
I wasn't a huge fan of her before, so whatever, it's fine.
It's another addition to the division.
That's right, which they need, I think, frankly. We then get Kiera Hogan with Tasha Steelz versus Jordynne Grace. Jordan's in control early with the power and the spine buster for a 2 count. Torture rack by Grace, escape and a head kick from Hogan. Running attacks into Grace in the corner by Steelz. Grace places Kiera up top, muscle buster to Hogan, and Tasha Steelz breaks up the pinfall for a DQ win, and Jordynne Grace wins in under 2 minutes.
Wow.
Right? This show, it's like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes so far.
Don't they have like 2 hours?
They do.
Right? And you see Dynamite.
You got to cram 14 Rich Swann, Kenny Omega. You don't have time for this, right? You got to prioritize.
Right, and you see AEW put on like 4 decent length great matches, and
this is 37 Swann promos, basically, and packages.
Right.
Fire and Flava attack Jordynne Grace after the match until, surprise, Rachel Ellering comes to make the save and hits a black hole slam on Steelz. Fire and Flava escape up the ramp. And this will be Jordynne Grace's partner at Rebellion, if you don't remember. Jazz.
I've seen a thing, maybe she'll turn heel.
Could be.
Ellering, that is.
Yeah, because, what was it? What's his face? D'Amore gave Jazz the opportunity to choose Grace's partner, and apparently it is a returning Rachel Ellering, which is fine again.
Oh, wait, she was here before, right?
Briefly,
Wasn't
I think.
She?
I feel like
maybe.
she was.
I don't know.
So the Knockouts tag champs for me, Fire and Flava, made to look pretty weak 2 weeks in a row now, getting dominated by Jazz and then having to sort of cheat and lose here against Jordynne Grace.
Remember when they were cool and you liked them?
I do. I still like them, but...
Well, yeah, but...
So this was basically a non-match just to introduce Ellering, which is fine, I guess. She's decent.
I don't get so I didn't even watch it, but like then I don't know why you needed a match.
Right. I don't just...
Like a segment would have worked better. Like I don't...
So.
If the match is so short, it's not like... What?
And your tag champs are losing every week in singles matches.
Right.
I don't know. Not a big fan. Ellering, fine, I guess. I don't remember if I like her or not. She doesn't move the needle, as they say, for me. But again, they an addition to the division I'm fine with. Finn Juice cut a promo from Japan. They mock the Good Brothers' excuses for losing and basically say they'll prove once again that they're the best at Rebellion. It was fine. It was standard. It was really short. Guess what comes next? A hype video for the Swann Omega match. I'm not even joking,
Wait,
people.
There's a Swann and Omega match?
There is. I don't know if you heard.
I did not until now.
So then that hype video is followed by, guess what? a longer hype video with more details including Moose for the Swan Omega match. No joke, they followed one with another. And at this point, I'm asking, is this for real? 2 in a row.
So let me get one thing straight.
Yes.
Rich Swann is facing Kenny Omega?
I think so. I'm not sure. I might need 20 more reminders.
Me too. Honestly, I'm really confused. Like, I don't know. I don't get
crazy. They might be. I mean, I'm not sure at this point.
It's possible.
We'll see.
It's possible.
And then a few more Impact people talk about the match.
Wait, what match?
I think it's Swan and Omega something. He's from somewhere else. I don't know. Omega. I don't know. He's affiliated with Callis, who's an Impact guy. But
yeah. Okay.
I heard he's all right. We'll see. The commentary team run down the card at Rebellion on Sunday, which is...
By chance, what's the main event?
I don't know. We'll get to it. I forget. We're going to get an X Division 3-way match between Ace Austin, TJP, and Alexander.
That's very nice.
Should be good. Myers, Cardona. World Tag Team match, Finn Juice versus the Good Brothers. Knockouts Tag Team title match, Fire and Flava versus Grace and Ellering. 8-man tag match, which is Sabin, Edwards, Storm, and Willie Mack versus Violent by Design.
Eric Young should be replaced because
I would think he might be.
Yeah, that would probably be smart.
Last man standing match: Sami Callihan, Trey Miguel. Impact Knockouts title match: Deonna Purrazzo versus Tennille Dashwood. And in the main event, first I've heard of it, AEW champion Kenneth Omega versus
that's who it is.
Impact champion and TNA champion, I guess technically, Richard Swan.
They should have advertised it better.
They should really try and promote it.
I hate when they do this out of the blue. Like, it's so annoying.
Main event, Eddie Edwards versus Eric Young.
Oh, wow.
So this, with the other members of the 8-man tag, are at ringside for this one.
So it's like a mini lumberjack match.
And I'm pretty sure Eric Young is working this taping, this match, and maybe his last couple with a torn ACL. And if he is, what a beast. I was telling you, sometimes the doctors literally will say, like, you can't do any more damage to it. It's already done. So as long as you can handle the pain. And I mean, say what you want about professional wrestlers. They're pretty tough people, man.
Right.
So we get tie-ups and rope breaks before a shoulder.
I would say wrestling fans are tough too if you have to endure that many vignettes or whatever for the same thing.
It was intense this week. Tie-ups, rope breaks, brief, and shoulder tackle by Eddie Edwards near the beginning. Young takes control briefly before Edwards grounds him in a headlock. Atomic drop and overhead belly-to-belly by Edwards and back onto a headlock. I almost felt like watching the match. It's clear maybe Young is injured here because I don't feel like either of these guys were working quite as fast or intensely as normal. Eddie gets crotched on the ropes and his leg gets caught before he rolls to the floor. The ref does a good job here of keeping the group separated outside the ring somehow, which rarely happens with the refs. Young goes up top, but Eddie follows him and hits a superplex. Both men are down for a minute. Blue Thunderbomb by Eddie for a 2 count. Death Valley Driver by Eric Young for 2. Double Underhook Powerbomb by Edwards for a 2 count.
Like Tyler Driver?
Yes.
Tiger
Bomb. Suicide Dive by Eddie, and he rolls Eric Young back in. Then we get the inevitable brawl between the two groups of guys outside the ring. And Eric Young uses this distraction to roll up Edwards for the win.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect him to do a pile driver.
No, all 8 men brawl after the match.
I think he should probably not wrestle just because he probably can't do like a ton.
Right? I don't think it didn't look like he could. He looked limited here to me, but that might be just me interpreting that incorrectly. I don't know. So all 8 men are brawling out on the floor after the match or in the ring. All over the place, whatever, doesn't matter. Stryker engages in his histrionics about Rebellion as the show goes off the air, but he does finally mention that Mauro Ranallo will be doing commentary for that match. Decent match, nothing really special. I think Young, as I said, was limited here by his knee injury. The final couple minutes picked up with a lot more action there, but overall it was just okay. So this show was basically, did you know that Rich Swann and Kenny Omega are wrestling for both belts?
I did not.
Honestly, they rammed this down our throats so much it was annoying.
That we choked and suffocated.
I went back and checked. 8 segments on this show were in one way or another dedicated or talking about the Swan Omega match. 8 segments in 2 hours, okay? it's like they're finally doing something that's noteworthy, right? That's going to maybe get some attention outside of their own fans. And they just felt the need to just hammer that nail constantly all show. It was a bit much for me. So in ring, this episode had very little to offer. A 5-minute Decay Good Brothers match that was okay. 4-minute Dashwood Susan match that was sloppy. 3-minute Shera Jake something match that was Shera, so it wasn't good. 2-minute Hogan Grace match, and then an 11-minute main event. I would recommend none of it. The Swan Callis
It'd be
Omega.
funny if you recommended the Swan Omega package, because then you'd have to choose between
Are Swan and Omega having a match?
I've heard there's a rumor
I think
going
you're
around.
wrong, but we'll see. I don't like to say you're wrong.
I might be wrong, honestly.
The Swan Callis Omega Moose segment was the best thing in the show, I think. It was good. Myers' promo was pretty good. Rachel Ellering debuting was interesting, I guess, and pretty much everything else was forgettable. Felt a lot like I was watching a lame pre-show for a wrestling pay-per-view rather than an episode of a weekly show. It was tough for me to get through this one. Last week, right, I really enjoyed and I gave it an A-. This week, sadly, they sink down to a somewhat generous C- for me. It's not a D. You know why? What was missing?
Chris Bay.
No. Well, he's been missing for a while. But what segment that I consistently dislike was...
Swingers Palace.
There was no Swingers Palace. Not only that, there was no attempt at comedy, which Impact very much struggles with.
They love it.
Planned intentional comedy.
Right.
So that saved it from being a D for me. It was a C-. Not a great go-home show. Just way too much focus on one thing for me. It really got exhausting.
What did they focus on?
It's a match. I forget. It's between Rich Swann and some guy from another company. I'm not sure.
We said it earlier.
And that wraps up.
I don't know.
That's it for any of the wrestling business, right? I think.
No, we got the preview for the paper.
Oh, that's right. We're gonna make our picks for this.
Even though I don't watch it. Impact Wrestling Rebellion 2021 preview and predictions. X Division Triple Threat, which is Ace Austin, TJP, Josh Alexander.
I will say Ace Austin retains.
All right.
It better not be TJP.
I'll also take Ace Austin because I don't know. I like
that match
him.
should be fun though.
I like him the most. I think he just won it right, and then I don't want TJP to win, and I want Josh Alexander to reunite with Ethan Page in the AEW.
Well, I just want Josh Alexander in the heavyweight in the main title, but not yet. But anyways, okay.
Maybe he can beat Omega because he's not heel.
Why is Omega facing somebody in Impact? Sorry, listeners. That joke's probably getting old, but
I still find it amusing.
Yeah.
So
we're here to amuse ourselves. Dang it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Myers and Cardona.
I will take Brian Myers, mostly just because I want him to, and I don't think Cardona should win.
I'm gonna take Cardona because Matt Cardona.
I think you're probably right, but I'm gonna try Myers.
Good Brothers Finn Juice.
Good Brothers. Good Brothers lost one match this year. That's it, man. They're never losing again. You?
I don't know.
Plus, I'm just not sure Finn Juice is going to be regularly in America.
They literally have done nothing since winning the title. Yeah, I guess I'll just take the Good Brothers because it makes sense.
It crushes your soul a bit, right, to pick them, but
because the Good Brothers. That's the reason.
Well, only what percent was it? Remember, I figured out the exact 58% or something of the Good Brothers because I actually looked up their weights and figured out what percent the Gallows was of the combination. I think it was like 58 or something.
Yeah. Fire and Flava versus Grace and Ellering.
Fire and Flavor retain because they're awesome, and this is a cobbled together tag team that's never wrestled together. And Fire and Flavor are a legit team with a name and stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to pick them as well because I feel like that Ellering turn may happen.
Yeah.
Just because, yeah. VBD versus the Beer Gun and Friends.
I will take Beer Gun and Friends, I guess. I don't know. That one could go either way.
And Friends.
I just feel baby faces, I guess I'll take there. You?
I might go Violent by Design just because they're an actual group, and I feel like there will be some Eric Young replacement.
Yeah, could be.
Just because they probably want to make the match better, so.
Next. Ooh, angry typing.
Last man standing match. Miguel versus Callahan.
Trey, I think, gets his win back, and he seems to be the one they're focused on going forward, not so much Sammy. Sammy's the guy that's there to, make other people look good sometimes.
Yeah, I think.
Which he does a good job of.
I think he'll win. I would agree.
Trey?
And then,
yeah.
maybe, a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
I guess. Knockouts title, Perazo, Dashwood.
Oof. I will say Perazo retains just because I don't see anybody at her level right now. Not Dashwood the way she's been built, I don't think.
Right, and it's kind of heel on heel, right? Isn't
yeah, it is. So yeah, it is.
I'm going to agree, even though that's kind of boring.
It's okay.
Oh, looks like a last-minute addition. Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann for the AEW and Impact World titles. Title versus title?
Well, I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of it, so I haven't put a lot of thought into it, but I will take Kenneth Omega.
All right.
And very confidently take Kenneth Omega.
I don't know. I'm kind of on the spot here as well. I guess I'll take Kenny Omega.
And
he seems pretty cool.
The sad thing is, as a person who's watching both shows, Impact like focuses on it like crazy, and AEW doesn't even mention it at all anymore.
Right, like other than maybe in Omega segments.
And yet, I'm sure AEW is going over in the match, right?
Right. I think Omega like mentioned it, like he's good, or like Cal said he's the next Impact World Champion or whatever.
And
like,
that's it.
That.
And then
that's it, right.
Cut to Impact putting 8 segments in talking about it. Anyways.
Funny. Yeah, we're good for any other wrestlers.
All right, so that will take us into our final segment every show, and that's where Jack takes a couple minutes to update us on the world of wrestling figures, and that is Figuring It Out with Jack.
And if you want to contact us to tell us we used that joke too much, then go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah, feel free.
Then we would be like, hey, we got a message. Anyone
contact us anytime. We'll give you a shout out on the show.
We could annoy people into wanting to contact us.
They won't contact us to say they like us, so we'll just annoy them into hating us, and then because the internet's inherently negative, right? So,
anyways, the only thing I got is some AEW news, unexpected actually.
Perfect.
I did see some leaks for AEW Series 6, which is cool. That's not what I'm talking about, but just did see that.
Okay.
AEW Unrivaled 1B revealed, which is
you told me this
Series 1, but with quote unquote fixed skin tones.
Which makes sense because they were not great.
They are more tan now.
Yeah. Because they all looked like Sheamus in the first release.
Especially Kenny Omega. This series includes Cody Rhodes from Double or Nothing 2019, Kenny Omega from Double or Nothing 2019, Chris Jericho from Double or Nothing 2019, Brandy Rhodes from Double or Nothing 2019, and the Young Bucks from Double or Nothing 2019.
Nice.
I might get them if I see them in store or like on sale on Ringside, because I like the Omega, the Cody, and the Bucks. They're pretty pale. Jericho's actually not that bad,
and we might see them in stores because we have seen them in Canada now. So.
Right. Literally got the entire Series 3 from store.
Right.
So. They do kind of look weird though, because like part of Jericho's torso, like the upper torso, looks different color than the bottom torso.
Oh yeah.
And some of them look like they got a spray tan.
I was just gonna say it's a bad spray tan.
Right, like the Omega looks kind of weird. So like they are fixed. I think the Young Bucks actually look the best. I would say. Some of the other ones look. I think Cody looks fine. I guess the best way to compare will be like I'll grab them and compare them to my Series 3 figures because they did fix the skin tone in Series 2, like I noticed with the Hangman, but I think they even fixed it better in Series 3.
I would hope so.
So, I don't know. They look better, but given the last skin tones, it's not a high bar.
Right.
And it's not super bad if you don't look closer.
Right.
But so that's kind of cool. I wasn't really. I think they've been saying they're going to do that, but I obviously didn't see that because I was not expecting that.
Good.
Yeah.
That's it? Very quick figuring out this week, but that's fine. We're still hitting, what's your guess in length?
3 hours.
Nope, 2.5.
Oh.
Although, I mean, we did record 45 minutes that got lost forever. But anyways.
So it feels like 3 hours.
So that brings us to the end of episode 40. Again,
almost 5:30, wow.
If you're missing any of the ROH, it is already up everywhere else, their 500th episode review. And as always, we just like to thank any new listeners, any returning listeners. We really appreciate anyone that wants to listen to us talk about wrestling for any amount of time. Very much appreciated. We may put out something a little bit earlier in the week about the Impact pay-per-view that
And a little breaking news for you. The main event, Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann.
So we may put something together early in the week to talk about that. So keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely be back on Saturday with episode 41 to talk about all this stuff. If we don't do a
bonus episode, we'll get a turbo review in the pod probably.
We'll talk about it at some point. So thanks again for spending some time with us this week.
And enduring 1,000 of the same joke.
We'll see you back here next week, pretty much same time, same place. Until then, take care.